Chapter 1724. From the point of view of protecting your feelings, I won't refute your idea because the answer you got from Night's Sorrow was definitely rejection. He cares about his wife's happiness the most and doesn't want to make her unhappy, Datura said. Then why are you telling me? Lin Xian'er asked. Because I love him and hope that everything will go well for him. You can help him even more, Datura said. Is your love very noble? Lin Xian'er looked at Datura and her heart was shaken. She even felt that she was a little shameless. If you really love him, you would be the same. Let's change the topic. How is Night's Sorrow now? Datura asked about Night's Sorrow's situation. Lin Xian'er told Datura about Night's Sorrow's current situation. Bai Qiuyuan, that bastard. He tricked Night's Sorrow. This matter isn't over yet. Datura's face was full of murderous intent. She was almost done refining Datura Chinensis's source energy and could enter the Emperor realm at any time. Ah Luo, you don't have to worry about this. The law enforcement elder of the human race looked for me and asked me not to do anything for the time being and wait for Night's Sorrow to return. I will take care of him, Lin Xian'er said. But there is one more question. You are the ethereal battle empress Lin Piaomiao. Is it appropriate for me to still call you Sister Xian'er? Datura asked. In front of my friends, I am Lin Xian'er. I will have to trouble you to help me with some things. I will go to the 9-domain world to look for Night's Sorrow and ask him about his cultivation problems. The law enforcement elder of the Tianhuang city doesn't want him to take the wrong path, Lin Xian'er said. All right, go ahead. Datura nodded. Lin Xian'er left and Datura slapped her forehead. She knew that she really had to help. First of all, she could empathize with Lin Xian'er's situation. She couldn't make things difficult for Lin Xian'er. Besides having one more person in the family, it wasn't a big deal. If he refused, it would be the same as hurting Lin Xian'er. That would be too heartless. Lin Xian'er arrived at the teleportation array but was unable to teleport because Night's Sorrow had restricted the use of the teleportation array. Sensing Lin Xian'er's aura, Night's Sorrow's clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall let her through. Night's Sorrow went to the tea house next to the city lord's mansion to wait. A moment later, Lin Xian'er arrived at the tea house and sat opposite Night's Sorrow. Sister Xian'er is here. The tea is ready. Night's Sorrow pointed at the teapot in front of him. You seem to be in a pretty good condition. Lin Xian'er looked at Night's Sorrow, her heart feeling a little different. Not bad. Night's Sorrow nodded with a smile. After that, Lin Xian'er told Night's Sorrow a little about the key points of domain fusion. She told Night's Sorrow that no matter how difficult it was now, he could not casually carry out domain fusion, because the fusion between Emperor-grade domains was perfect. These bastards, they actually used divination to watch me. Then they should know that I scolded them. I don't care, they have already exiled me, what can they do to me? When I come back, I will go back to Starmoon City to be the city lord and the domain master of the 9-domain world. Sister Xian'er, if you have nothing to do, come over and have tea with me. Night's Sorrow said. Then can I live in Sky City in the 9-domain world in the future? Lin Xian'er asked with a smile. You are most welcome. Night's Sorrow nodded. That's good. If your family and your wife don't mind, I will go. All right, I will go back first. Lin Xian'er stood up. You're in such a hurry. Yishan also stood up. What's wrong? Could it be that you can't bear to let Sister Xian'er go? Lin Xian'er turned around and looked at Night's Sorrow as she threw out a sentence. Night's Sorrow was stunned and his face turned red. Sister Xian'er, help me find some high-level array diagrams. Night's Sorrow called out to Lin Xian'er, who was about to enter the teleportation array. Zheng's S edition. Lin Xianer nodded at Night's Sorrow and smiled again. Then, she entered the teleportation array and left the 9-domain world. Datura also returned. After greeting Night's Sorrow, he returned to Sky City and called Sikong Chuyu and the others for a family meeting. Yi Qingyan and Yi Nianxiao were also present. Datura couldn't persuade them to leave. All right. You two listen in, but it's best if you don't express any opinions. Chuyu, you two should make the decision on this matter. Datura said. Aunt Aluo, what's the matter? Why are you being so mysterious? Yi Qingyan leaned on the table and asked Datura. That's right. What's the matter? You want the sisters-in-law to sit together and discuss. Could it be that my brother has a mistress outside? You want to sit together and judge? That must be it. Why don't you let me and Qingyan listen? Yi Nianxiao said. Don't talk nonsense. You don't understand your brother's world at all. However, this matter is indeed related to a woman. Datura said. 13 shouldn't. Yang Lei frowned. He doesn't know about this matter. Datura shook his head and then told her about Lin Xianer. Father is so overbearing now. Isn't Aunt Xianer the #1 on the celestial realm celestial demon list? Is it because my father hangs out with her every day? Father hasn't returned to Sky City for nearly 3 years. Yi Qingyan muttered after a moment of surprise. Nonsense. You don't know what your father has been enduring for the past 3 years. Datura glared at Yi Qingyan. She wouldn't allow Yi Qingyan to not understand Night Sorrow's situation. Big Sister Eluo, did something happen to Night Sorrow? Sikong Chuyu stood up. She knew that Datura wouldn't say this for no reason. Night Sorrow didn't want you to worry, so he didn't want me to say anything. It seems that I can't hide it anymore. Let's talk about it. He was exiled by the human race's sect elder and is no longer in the celestial realm. Datura sighed and then told them everything that had happened in the past 2.5 years. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted my father. Yi Qingyan's eyes reddened. Big Sister Xianer is our friend. There's nothing between her and Night Sorrow. She also helped Night Sorrow without holding back. Datura said. Is she sincere enough? Yang Lei asked. Yes. She's the peerless empress of the celestial realm. She wouldn't be able to tell me this without great courage. In addition, Night Sorrow and our Xingyue Lake family have taken great care of him. Sikong Chuyu said. Chuyu, you don't have any objections? Yang Lei looked at Sikong Chuyu and asked. If a bad woman wants to marry into our family, I definitely won't agree. However, Lin Xianer obviously isn't one. She can live alone for countless years. Her moral integrity is definitely not a problem. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister, Sister Shueshi, what do you think? Sikong Chuyu looked at the others and asked. I don't care. I'm going to see 13 now. He suffered again. Yang Lei's eyes were filled with tears. Don't go yet. Night Sorrow just doesn't want everyone to worry. Datura pulled Yang Lei, who had stood up, to sit down beside him. I don't object. In fact, the main difficulty lies with 13. He values our family very much and cares about our feelings. Therefore, it's very likely that he will refuse. Aoi thought for a moment and said. Chapter 1725. That's right. That's too cruel. What do you think, Shueshi? Sikong Chuyu looked at Shueshi. I have no objections. As long as it doesn't affect the harmony of the family, everything is fine, Shueshi said. It seems that you've reached a consensus, Sikong Chuyu said. Auntie, are you ignoring my father's opinion? Yi Qingyan looked at Sikong Chuyu and asked. Are you stupid? Your father is very close to her. We don't know if he likes her or not, but he wouldn't hate her, right? So that's how it is. Sister Eluo, do as you see fit. Sikong Chuyu made the decision. Father has taken all the good women in the world, Yi Qingyan said, pursing her lips. If you say any more nonsense, I'll slap you, Aoi said, waving her hand. However, Yi Qingyan just stuck out her tongue. After sending Lin Xian'er off, Yi Shang's clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall went back to cultivate. He had been cultivating intensely recently. It was only when Lin Xian'er had come that the teleportation crystal had reacted that he had come out of the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Sikong Chuyu and the others didn't see Night Sorrow when they arrived at Nine Region City. Datura had taken the teleportation array to the celestial realm. Sikong Chuyu and the others could only wait for Night Sorrow to come out of seclusion before discussing the matter. After returning to the Night Moon Villa, Datura saw Lin Xian'er. Lin Xian'er was sitting in the waterside pavilion of the Night Moon Villa, but she was a little distracted. Sister Xian'er, you're really distracted, Datura said. A little. It's mainly because I've never experienced something in the past, so I'm a little confused, Lin Xian'er said. I went back and told them. They were very generous and didn't reject you. They were willing to accept you. However, we didn't see Night Sorrow when we arrived at Nine Region City, Datura said. Ah Luo, it's been hard on you. I'm the one who wants to steal your man, yet I still need your help. Lin Xian'er sighed. Originally, in this world, it was men who chased after women relentlessly. However, things have changed when it comes to us. Our conditions and looks aren't bad, right? But you insisted on delivering yourself to him. I did it, and so did you. It's all Ye's fault, Datura said with a smile. You say that, but your face is full of happiness. Is little Luo still cultivating with his master? Lin Xian'er asked. Datura nodded. Yes, the children at home are all running around. But as long as they don't leave the chaos realm, there should be no problem with their safety. I'm very envious of you. When I saw your harmonious family during Night Sorrow's coronation ceremony, I was very envious. There is almost no such complete and harmonious family in the celestial realm. Lin Xian'er was very happy because it was relatively smooth. To her, this matter was like fighting a war, or even more difficult than fighting a war. I fought for it. At that time, I felt that it was time for marriage, so I tricked Night Sorrow. Datura smiled and told her about his relationship with Night Sorrow. Without courage, how can you get happiness? Lin Xian'er looked at Datura and said. She felt that Datura's situation was similar to hers. Actually, Night Sorrow is also a sentimental person, but he will hide it. If he likes me in his heart, he will not say it. Would you believe me if I said that he had no feelings for me at that time? Datura said with a smile. He definitely has feelings for you. Lin Xian'er nodded. Yes, but he is very strict with himself. He wants to be a good husband and doesn't want to disappoint his family. Datura said his evaluation of Night Sorrow. I understand. Don't worry about Night Sorrow's situation. If there is any danger, I will go and find him. Lin Xian'er nodded at Datura. He will be your man in the future. You decide for yourself. Datura directly left the matter of Night Sorrow to Lin Xian'er. Lin Xian'er left and returned to the city lord's mansion. After thinking for a while, she felt that she should marry Tsongning off first. The Lin Xian'er who had put on the veil was Lin Piaomiao. She sent someone to summon Wu Fing and Tsongning to the city lord's residence. The meeting place was Tsongning's courtyard in the city lord's mansion. Greetings to the War Emperor. Wu Fing and Song Ning cupped their hands and bowed. I'm meeting you here to discuss private matters. Wu Fing, isn't it inappropriate for you to be like this? As a man, if you don't speak, you'll make Song Ning wait. Lin Xianer went straight to the point. Wu Fing and Song Ning were stunned by Lin Xianer's words. Miss. Song Ning wanted to explain on behalf of Wu Fing but was interrupted by Lin Xianer. Don't say anything. Let him speak today. My lord, it's like this. Wu Fing is suffering from the cold poison and is not suitable for marriage. As soon as the problem is solved, I will propose marriage. Wu Fing said. Cold poison. That's not a problem. When Knight Sorrow enters the Merit Emperor realm, he can help you deal with the cold poison at any time. Within 3 days, I will wait for your proposal at the City Lord's mansion. There's no rush to get married. Let's settle it first. Song Ning, be more reserved. Lin Xianer made a series of decisions. The main reason was that her mood was unstable today. Because she was no longer reserved, she vented her anger on Wu Fing and Song Ning. Wu Fing understands. I'll take my leave. Wu Fing bowed and left the courtyard. Song Ning, stop right there. What's wrong? It's as if our Lin family's women can't get married. Lin Xianer shouted at Song Ning, who was about to leave. Song Ning stood there obediently. But after glancing at Lin Xianer, he turned his head away. We're the only 2 women in the Lin family. You're not even married yet. What are you saying? If you want to speak, speak louder. I'll marry you off first, then talk about me. I'll work hard to marry myself off. Lin Xianer said. Miss, what did you just say? Song Ning didn't hear it clearly. You want to marry yourself off? You still need to work hard. Song Ning rubbed his ears hard. Seeing you annoys me. Hurry up and leave. Lin Xianer chased him away. After leaving the courtyard, Song Ning looked at the lintel of the courtyard and realized that this was his courtyard. But he was the one being chased out. He rubbed his ears again to make sure he didn't hear wrong. But he didn't understand what was going on. After pondering for a moment, Song Ning left. I'm going to get married anyway. It doesn't matter if I'm reserved or not. It's all the same. Knight Sorrow was still training every day to increase his battle strength. He had researched and evolved the heaven-covering hand into 2 forms. One was the heaven-covering hand of nothingness. Under the attack of a huge energy palm, anything that couldn't withstand the attack would be annihilated. It was extremely domineering. The other form was the heaven-covering hand of glass. It used the light of virtue to activate the strength of the body. When the palm struck out, the energy palm was like glass, filled with a mighty aura. Chapter 1726. Knight Sorrow's clone was still trapped in the array. Even the teleportation array disk had lost its effectiveness. Due to the interference of the array, the teleportation array disk and the teleportation array could not be used. Knight Sorrow knew that it would be difficult to get out without breaking the array. However, he had never even heard of this array before, let alone seen it. How could he break it? He could only study it slowly and wait for Lin Xianer to find some array diagrams for him to cultivate. Knight Sorrow's heart trembled when he thought of Lin Xianer's words after she left. Lin Xianer, who had a slight blush on her face, was so beautiful that it made one's heart tremble. At that moment, the fortune-teller in the Tianhuang city began to perform the divination again. Many human clan elders came to watch, and even the Grand Elder came. When they noticed Knight Sorrow's situation, everyone was stunned. What's going on? Elder Zhai Xing asked. He's trapped by the array, Guqi said. He was an imperial master blacksmith and naturally an imperial master array Dao, so he could tell. Night Sorrow moved around and threw spirit stones around, trying to change the structure of the array and make it lose its effectiveness. However, 2 hours passed and he threw out 2,000 Saint Spirit stones, but the array was still working. Night Sorrow leaned against a tree and rested. He could only wait for Lin Xian's array diagram. The array of one of our human clan's giants. The coiling dragon's silver spear in the Grand Elder's hand trembled. Can you confirm whose array it is? Gu Qi can't tell, Gu Qi said. The former unparalleled Sword Emperor, Yan Wushuang's unparalleled array, the Grand Elder said. The unparalleled Sword Emperor, Yan Wushuang, was recorded in the ancient records. After failing to pass the tribulation of the 7 emperors, his life source was destroyed. At the last stage of his life, he killed a demon wing prince and finally died. Lu Qi looked at the Grand Elder. Yes, the array that Night Sorrow is trapped in is the unparalleled Sword Emperor's unparalleled array. That was a peak level 9 array formation, Night Sorrow would not be able to break it. 7th Elder, there is a supreme formation diagram in the library of the godly capital. Commander Lin, think of a way to contact Night Sorrow and give this diagram to him. Even though it will be hard for him to study a top-level formation diagram with his cultivation, this is something that can't be helped. It all depends on his own abilities. If you are slow in your research, you should stay in there for a longer period of time to settle down, the Grand Elder said. Lu Qi nodded. Since the Grand Elder had said so, he could only follow the Grand Elder's wishes. Because the peerless Sword Emperor failed his tribulation, he was in a hurry and didn't leave anything for us humans. Now that Night Sorrow has found the remains of the peerless Sword Emperor, this might be an opportunity, the Grand Elder said. Because he had fallen into a predicament, the image froze, and the clairvoyant stopped his divination. The Grand Elder nodded at Lu Qi and Lin Piaomiao, then went to the small space world he was residing in. This matter is very big because it involves a supreme treasure of the human race. If the peerless Sword Emperor died in Mount Tianhuang, then the supreme treasure will either be taken away by the Demon Wing clan or it will be in the array formation Night Sorrow is in, the Grand Elder said. The human Emperor's seal. Lin Piaomiao asked the Grand Elder. That's right, one of the supreme treasures of the human race, the human Emperor's seal. The Grand Elder nodded. In that case, Grand Elder, let's bring the Array Emperor Master over and break the array formation to look for it, Lu Qi said. No, the peerless Sword Emperor died countless years ago, and there has been no news of him for countless years. This time, the supreme formation appeared because of Night Sorrow. If we interfere, fate will be messed up, and it will be hard to say if the human Emperor's seal will appear, the Grand Elder shook his head and said. But such a high-level array formation isn't something Night Sorrow can figure out in a short time, Lin Piaomiao said. That's why I asked you to come here. I want you to take the diagram of the unparalleled formation and find a way to explain it to Yi Shang so that he can understand the unparalleled formation as soon as possible, said the Great Elder. Lin Piaomiao thought for a moment and nodded. She had to accept this task. If she couldn't break the array formation, Night Sorrow's clone would be trapped forever. Then, Lu Qi and Lin Piaomiao left the Grand Elder's space world. My original body has already rushed over from God's capital with the diagram. This is a chance for you, you have to grasp it. Lu Qi said with a smile. Lin Piaomiao's expression was a little unnatural. She understood what Lu Qi meant. At the same time, her clone was also rushing over to Mount Tianhuang. When her clone arrived, Lu Qi's diagram would also be sent over. Because he couldn't understand it, Night Sorrow didn't waste any time and began to cultivate his battle skills while waiting for Lin Xian to find news of the array formation. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. 2 days later, Lin Piaomiao's original body returned to Misty Imperial City while her clone stayed in Mount Tianhuang to handle matters. Lin Piaomiao went to Night Moon Villa and told Datura about Night Sorrow's current predicament. Then let's go together, Datura was a little anxious when he heard that Night Sorrow was in trouble. When Lin Piao approached the teleportation array, Night Sorrow stopped cultivating. This was the benefit of having the teleportation crystal recognize its owner. If someone with a higher cultivation wanted to teleport, he would immediately be alerted. Sensing Lin Piao's aura, Night Sorrow directly let her pass and went to the tea house to wait. Datura and Lin Piao arrived at the tea house and Night Sorrow was waiting for them. Seeing the two of them, Night Sorrow was very happy. I was feeling depressed and came over. Let's not drink tea today, let's drink. Let's talk about drinking later. Sister Xian has something important to discuss with you. Datura said. Lin Xian handed a beast skin book to Night Sorrow. This is the diagram of the array that trapped you. Take a look at it first. If it doesn't work, I'll guide you for a few days. When interacting with others, she was the misty battle emperor Lin Piao. But in front of Night Sorrow and Datura, she was willing to be the simple Lin Xian. Diagram of the array. Night Sorrow was stunned. Yes, the diagram of the array, a very important diagram. That array was left behind by the human race's unparalleled sword emperor. In addition, at the place where he fell, it is very likely that the human race's treasure, the human emperor's seal, is located. Lin Xian didn't hide anything from Night Sorrow and directly told him everything that the Grand Elder had said. The human emperor's seal, this shouldn't have anything to do with the human emperor of our chaotic realm, right? Night Sorrow looked at Datura. Of course not. The human emperor of our world of samsara wasn't even an emperor realm back then. His life experience and experience are also not up to par. The difference is too great. Datura shook his head. It shouldn't be related. Sister Xian, I can't understand that array. I've tried a few times but I have no clue at all. If Sister Xian has nothing to do, please guide me. My doppelganger is tightly trapped. Night Sorrow said. He was troubled by this matter. No problem. I'm fine now. Lin Xian nodded. Chapter 1727. What are you thinking about? Lin Xian asked when she saw that Datura was in a daze. Datura turned around and looked at Lin Xian. Then, he smiled at Lin Xian and used his soul to communicate with her. After hearing Datura's words, Lin Xian blushed and reached out to pinch Datura's face. You're too naughty and your mouth is too vicious. Because Mandela had said 8 words, they had hit it off immediately and they had become adulterers. Datura got up and ran while Lin Xian chased after him. Night Sorrow was puzzled. What was going on? Why were they so close? After fooling around for a while, Lin Xian and Datura returned and sat opposite Night Sorrow. Sister Xian Aluo, one of you is the ethereal battle emperor of the celestial realm and the other is the dark ruler of the dark abyss of the world of samsara. You guys are fooling around. Am I seeing things? Night Sorrow said. So what? We are also humans and have emotions and desires. It's tiring to put up a dignified front in front of others. When there's no one around, we can live happily. Datura said. That makes sense. There aren't many people who can accept it. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, you have to work hard and come back soon. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and said. It's difficult. Without the cultivation of an emperor and a level 4 domain, there's no hope of surviving the tide of nirvana. Night Sorrow took a sip of tea and said. What realm are you at now? Datura looked at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow didn't hide it from anyone and told them about his current situation. You're saying that the spacetime attribute isn't far from a level 2 emperor and your domain is already a level 3 domain? Datura asked in surprise. That's right. However, it's still impossible to cultivate to level 2 Emperor. I have a battle soon, and after that, I'll have to change my cultivation location. The last battle with Demon Throat was a gentleman's battle. The next battle will be a battle of life and death. If I kill him, the demon-winged clan will definitely capture me. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, that Demon Throat is a royal of the demon-winged clan. If you have the chance, kill him. That's a merit. Lin Xian said. Sister Xian it's very slow to earn merits this way. You might not even have any merits at all. This is a competition between races. I do have merits for the human race, but not for the heavenly realm. If a merit pseudo-emperor wants to break through to the merit emperor realm, he needs merits for the heavenly realm and millions of living beings. It's already good enough that I didn't lose any merits from killing the demon-winged clan, Yishan explained. So that's how it is. Then how are you going to break through? This experience won't help you at all. Lin Xian frowned. This was different from what she had expected. Merit can't be forced. Just be yourself and let nature take its course. However, I have a hunch that I won't be far from Emperor. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow's other wives had also arrived at 9 Region City. ZM new dollar most, unspecified currency fast D. Top % seeing Sikong Chuyu and the others, Lin Xian nodded and greeted them. Sikong Chuyu and the others were also very polite. Apart from Night Sorrow, Sikong Chuyu and the others knew what was going on. When he was done studying formations, Yishang would make tea, wash fruits, and serve his wives comfortably. Night Sorrow, you don't have any status at home? Lin Xian asked with a smile. Why would I need status at home? Night Sorrow was stunned. Aren't you the head of the family? I've seen many families where the men are very domineering. Lin Xian said. Maybe. But that's not the life I want. That's because I don't understand enough. Night Sorrow shook his head. Night Sorrow's understanding of the family is not comparable to ordinary people. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Night Sorrow, tell me about your understanding. Lin Xian was very curious about Night Sorrow's understanding of the family and his wives. Then let's talk about the relationship between husband and wife first. Before Chuyu married me, she was the treasure of the Sikong family. 9th senior sister and 6th senior sister were also the pearls of the Medicine Valley. She was also in charge of a family. Needless to say, Aluo was a duke in the world of samsara. They had never suffered or been wronged. After coming to the Yi family, I had to take care of the family, take care of my husband and children, and be filial to my parents-in-law. They gave me a beautiful life. What reason do I have to pursue status at home? Not to mention making tea and pouring water, it's not a big deal even if I have to serve them water to wash their feet. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, don't talk about it. We're all very good now. It's just that you've been wronged and have to work hard outside. Sikong Chuyu's eyes were red. She had always thought that she understood Night Sorrow very well. Now she understood that Night Sorrow's feelings were something she had never understood before. You gave the best years of your life to me, to your family, and to your children. What's wrong with me? Night Sorrow hugged Sikong Chuyu and patted Sikong Chuyu's back. This is the deepest understanding of life and the deepest sublimation of emotions. Lin Xian was deeply touched. Night Sorrow's thoughts were the opposite of the thoughts of most men in the celestial realm. However, his feelings were so real. Lin Xian was not the only one who was deeply touched. Even the eyes of the few women who had been married to Night Sorrow for a long time turned red. What's wrong with you all? I said something wrong. I won't say such things in the future. Night Sorrow hurriedly apologized. 13. If these words were to spread, you would become the idol of all women and the nemesis of all men. Yang Lei sat beside Night Sorrow. How could that be? These are my thoughts and not anyone else's. Night Sorrow muttered. The understanding of the virtuous half-emperor is indeed different. Even the concept of home is different. Perhaps in the future, everyone's worldview will change because your worldview is correct and will affect the worldview of the people around you. Lin Xian said. She knew that she had made the right choice. This was the kind of family she wanted to join. Chuyu, our daughter is going to get married. You have to watch over her carefully. Tell those with bad character to scram. Don't have any ideas about our daughter. When a son marries a wife, character is also the most important. I don't ask for any other good qualities, but narrow-mindedness is not allowed. I don't want the family to be in chaos in the future. Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu. There are so many children. The concubines will take care of them. You should worry about whether any of the women in the Yi family will dare to marry them. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. What are you talking about? Our daughter won't be able to get married. Then as a father, I will treat them like treasures and raise them for the rest of their lives. Night Sorrow muttered. Night Sorrow's words made Sikong Chuyu and the others turn their noses up. Night Sorrow was too pampering and spoiling his children. Night Sorrow, you have to find a way to enter the virtuous half-emperor realm as soon as possible. Wufing will soon propose marriage to Congning, but his body has the cold poison. Even if he marries, there won't be any children. Once you enter the virtuous half-emperor realm, you can help him resolve it. Lin Xian said. Chapter 1728. I'll take care of it. You should study formations with Sister Xian first. Come back soon with your clone. There's something good waiting for you. We'll get you a beautiful wife, Datura said with a smile. You still have such thoughts. All right. I'll be waiting. Night Sorrow said with a laugh. He really didn't think too much about it and thought that Datura was joking. Night Sorrow continued to study formations. Datura thought about preparing an engagement gift for Wufing and Congning, but he couldn't think of anything suitable. Wufing and Congning didn't lack anything. Big Brother and Old Song don't lack anything. Then let's give them a stable and comfortable life. Give them a mansion in 9 Regions City. Night Sorrow made a decision. 13. The stability of 9 Regions world is the most important thing. I don't recommend you do that, always said. Big Brother Wufing and Old Song are fine. They're not outsiders. Night Sorrow looked at Aoi and said. Aoi, don't worry. I can guarantee that, Lin Xian said. Okay, I understand. Sister Xian don't mind it. 9 Regions world is our home. Our family, lovers, and children are all here. We have to be careful, Aoi said. 6th senior sister, I'll be careful. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow, Celestial Sect still has designs on Star Moon Lake. A war between factions is inevitable in the future. Someone saw Ling Tian's figure in the city that World Edge Pavilion gave us, Datura said. Damn it. When I come back, I'll kill him immediately. Hearing the name Ling Tian, Night Sorrow was furious. Ling Tian had brought great trouble to World of Reincarnation. Senior brother went, but Ling Tian escaped. Senior brother killed Ling Ju, Datura said. At most 6 new V chapter, section 2 this is too risky. If Ling Tian still has a puppet, senior brother will be in danger. Night Sorrow said worriedly. There are some things you don't know. Right now, in the primal chaos realm, apart from you becoming an emperor and me refining Datura Chinensis's origin source, Blood Emperor Sandalwood's achievements are the highest. He has been a pseudo-emperor for some time now, so he doesn't need to change his title. Datura explained sandalwood situation. Eldest senior brother is so fierce. Night Sorrow looked at Datura in surprise. Yes. After spending 5 million years in prison and surviving 5 million years as a madman, he began his true rise, Datura said. Night Sorrow, what's with your senior brother being imprisoned for 5 million years? Lin Xian asked. Senior brother, you've suffered too much in the past. Yi Shang exhaled and told Lin Xian, about sandalwood situation. Some cultivators will have to endure some twists and turns on the road to rise. If they can overcome some tribulations, they will soar to the sky. Your senior brother should be in this situation. The cultivators from other realms have a low starting point because they don't have high-level inheritances. However, they all have a strong point. The strong point that the disciples of the big clans and powers in the heaven realm are envious of is that they are good at combat. The name, Blood Emperor Sandalwood, sounds very domineering. It seems that you two have a very good relationship. However, that shouldn't be the case. You are so young, so you shouldn't have much interaction with him. Lin Xian said. Their relationship is very deep. Sandalwood doesn't have many ideals. First, he wants to be with his wife. Second, he wants to fight alongside Night Sorrow. If anyone hurts Night Sorrow, he will use his saber to reason with them. This is because he knows that without Night Sorrow, he wouldn't be where he is now. Datura explained the past between Night Sorrow and Sandalwood. When a person is lonely and helpless, the emotions they feel are unforgettable. Night Sorrow, why did you visit him at that time? Lin Xian asked. Master has only accepted 2 disciples in his life. Senior brother has no relatives. As his junior brother, I have the responsibility to take care of him. Night Sorrow thought back to the past and shook his head. The days passed peacefully. Night Sorrow worked hard to raise his cultivation level while his 2 doppelgangers studied and deduced formations. As she guided Night Sorrow on formations, Lin Xian agreed with Gu Qi's evaluation of Night Sorrow. Rough. Night Sorrow's formation cultivation in the past was too rough. This resulted in some of his formations being set up and broken, but there was also a benefit to it. He had a deep understanding of the basics. Lin Xian patiently imparted her knowledge of formations to Night Sorrow, starting from the basics. She pointed out all the flaws and mistakes that Night Sorrow had in the past. Sister Xian, what you imparted to me should be a high-level formation Dao inheritance. There shouldn't be any drawbacks, right? Night Sorrow asked. There are no drawbacks. Whether it's cultivation techniques or formations, I obtained them myself. I don't need to explain them to anyone. Of course, I won't impart anything that isn't suitable to you. Lin Xian said. Lin Xian was the top of the Fiend God list. Her fighting ability was unparalleled. She was also a high-level formation Dao Emperor Master. Because of her tyrannical battle strength, she overshadowed the glory of being an Emperor Master. With Lin Xian's guidance, Night Sorrow's formation Dao cultivation soared because he already had a foundation. In order to buy time, Night Sorrow asked Datura to bring the clear sky pagoda over from the city in the sky. This way, he could cultivate formations in a time acceleration environment. Formations Dao was broad and profound. Night Sorrow received Lin Xian's guidance in the clear sky pagoda. 2 months had passed in the real world. Night Sorrow cultivated for 100 months in the clear sky pagoda under Lin Xian's guidance. After more than 8 years, he finally walked on the orthodox path of formation Dao cultivation. He also had some understanding of the unparalleled great formation left behind by the unparalleled Sword Emperor because he had the formation diagram in hand. Night Sorrow, you only know about the unparalleled battle formation. It's impossible to break it. However, with the formation diagram in hand, you can walk in and out of the formation without a problem. Tidy up and familiarize yourself with it. You can try to move in the unparalleled Great Formation and see if there are any opportunities. If you have the human Emperor's seal, you can take it. Remember, no matter who wants it, even if it's a human race ancestor, you can't give it to them. That's a divine artifact of fate. Lin Xian said. Not giving it. Night Sorrow was stunned. Treasures belong to the virtuous. Why should I give it to them? If they have the ability, why don't they look for it themselves? They want to wait for a ready-made one. No way, Lin Xian said. They exiled me. I don't want to communicate with them anymore. In the future, if there's a war between the human race, I will do what I should do. However, don't force those lousy rules and ideas on me. I won't accept them. If I can return from Tianhuang smoothly, I will go to Star Moon Lake and live comfortably as the Overlord, Night Sorrow said. After all these years, Night Sorrow was a little tired. Chapter 1729. Night Sorrow did not say anything. He knew that Lin Xian was right. There were some things that would result in karma the moment one stepped in. Also, the elders of the human race are actually a group of people worthy of respect. This time, it was because of an individual black sheep. The great elder hoped that I would persuade you. At that time, I had no choice but to accept. Lin Xian said in a low voice. Is that so? Then I can't make things difficult for Sister Xian. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Sister Xian will arrange everything, but we won't do anything that will cause us to lose out, Night Sorrow said to Lin Xian. Thank you, Sister Xian, Lin Xian said. She originally thought that this matter would be difficult to handle, but she did not expect that Night Sorrow would not refuse once she opened her mouth. What are you thanking me for? Sister Xian, you won't cheat me, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Yes, Sister Xian will never cheat you in this life, Lin Xian looked at Night Sorrow and said seriously. Sister Xian, these words are too serious. Night Sorrow was stunned because Lin Xian's words were very serious. It could be said that it was a promise. And then try to walk around the peerless array. Although you can move around in the array, you still have to be careful. Some old demons have very heaven-defying methods. You also know about Guizhu's situation, his methods are all linked together. In addition, I have to return to Ethereal City. That day, I asked Wu Feng to come to the City Lord's mansion to propose marriage 3 days later. I ran for more than 2 months and they still couldn't find me, Lin Xian reminded Night Sorrow and said with a smile. After Lin Xian left Nine Region City, Night Sorrow also exited the Clear Sky Pagoda. He asked Datura, who was resting in the tea house next to the City Lord's mansion, to bring the Clear Sky Pagoda replica back to Sky City. Night Sorrow, Sister Xian is very good to you. She is also alone, so marry her. Datura said. Ah Luo. Don't talk nonsense, Sister Xian will be angry if she hears it. Night Sorrow quickly interrupted Datura's words. She's not talking nonsense. Sikong Chuyu and the others came out of the tea house. What's wrong with you guys? Night Sorrow frowned. He knew that this wasn't a joke. After that, Datura told her about the conversation between Lin Xian and her. Do you remember that day when Big Sister Xian chased me and beat me up? Because I said something, the two of you hit it off and hooked up with each other. Datura explained the reason why she and Lin Xian had fought that day. That's not appropriate. It's not fair to you. We can't make you feel uncomfortable because of others, Night Sorrow said. I'm fine. She's a nice person. She doesn't have an overbearing aura when she's with us. It feels like we've known each other for a long time, Sikong Chuyu said. This has nothing to do with her being nice. I've already wronged you guys enough. Night Sorrow looked at his wives with guilt in his eyes. Rejection is hurt. Night Sorrow, we don't want to see Sister Xian or walk down the heartless path because of your rejection. Not to mention that she's outstanding, she's also a good person, Datura said. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He suddenly felt a little lost. He couldn't say how he felt about Lin Xian but he didn't want to hurt her. Without saying anything else, Night Sorrow turned and entered the heaven ceiling hole. He needed to think and calm down. Night Sorrow's clone that was trapped by the array formation in the heaven desolate mountain began to move. He already understood the unparalleled array formation. Although he couldn't break it, he could still avoid dangerous and murderous areas. There were still 3 months before the time he had agreed to meet Devil Throat. Night Sorrow had to fight with all his might. His doppelganger had to return if he could. His true body and doppelganger were together. That was his highest combat power. Night Sorrow was confident in himself, but he never underestimated any opponent. He also knew that Demon Throat wasn't simple. He was a member of the Demon Wing Imperial family. Last time, Demon Throat also didn't fight with all his strength. Night Sorrow was very careful as he advanced. This was the Heaven Desolate Mountain. It might be the place where a big shot of the human clan fell. Therefore, it was hard to say what would happen here. The unparalleled array formation covered a large area. Night Sorrow didn't even know when he stepped into the array formation. He didn't know how many miles he had advanced. He was currently walking towards the center of the array formation. The human clan's supreme treasure was lost. If there was a chance to find it, he had to find it. No matter who had the treasure, it had to be the human clan. After advancing for a day, Night Sorrow arrived at a special area. It could be said that it was a canyon covered by the array formation. There were strong energy fluctuations in the canyon. Night Sorrow carried the space-splitting spear and advanced slowly. If there were energy fluctuations, it meant that there was a situation. He had to investigate it carefully. After advancing for a while, Night Sorrow saw a special scene. There was a big jade-green seal with a diameter of 10 feet. There was silver hair wrapped around it. There was a woman tied to the jade-green seal. The woman was kneeling on the ground. Her legs were pressed under the seal. Above her knees, her back was leaning against the seal. It was as if she was carrying the seal and couldn't move anymore. Zertzi the seal was constantly producing green light energy, tightly binding the woman to the seal. On the light energy, there were golden characters circulating. Night Sorrow recognized the characters. They were the characters of the human Tao scripture, the Book of Tao. The characters were circulating with energy restraints. What was going on? Night Sorrow was stunned. The woman was dressed in black armor. Part of her white hair was coiled on the ground while the other part was wrapped around the seal. She was resisting the light energy on the seal. 3,000 feet of white hair. Night Sorrow could tell the length of the silver hair that was coiled around the woman's body. He didn't go near this area because everything here was unknown. Ha! Mo Tianji, we humans have arrived here first. This proves that the human race is prosperous. A voice sounded. It was filled with pride and excitement. Yan Wushuang, what's the point of him coming here? What can a piece of trash who isn't even an imperial emperor solve? The woman snorted. Then, her white hair floated up and flew towards Night Sorrow. Her speed was unparalleled, and there were energy blades that tore through space. The space-time domain spread out, and Night Sorrow retreated a bit. Night Sorrow did not dare to get close to the energy attack of the 3,000 feet of white hair. However, he was filled with anger. He had worked hard to become an emperor, but he had still been called trash. Not only had he been looked down upon, but he had also been attacked. Attacking indiscriminately. Why didn't I crush you to death? Night Sorrow scolded when he reached a safe area. Young man, you scolded well. You can't help me now. Hurry up and call the human race's sect elder over. Kill her. Remember, I can only suppress her for 3 days at most. The voice that couldn't be seen said. You're a human? Night Sorrow asked. He wanted to confirm the situation. Chapter 1730. So it's Senior Unparalleled Sword Emperor. What do you want me to do now? Didn't she attack me? Then I'll kill her. After confirming their relationship, Night Sorrow decided to think of a way to kill this heavenly concubine. Ha! An ant dares to boast shamelessly. Even if I don't fight back, do you think you can kill me? Yen Wushuang, you said you can at most suppress me for 3 more days. However, I'll tell you that tonight is the night I, Mo Tianji, will be free. The black-armored white-haired woman laughed loudly. Following her laughter, the jade-green seal shook. Night Sorrow's expression changed. The clone in the heaven sealing hall sent someone to Datura and asked him to find Lin Xian, Hurry and inform them. Yen Wushuang's voice was somewhat anxious. Junior was exiled. Because my cultivation isn't enough, I can't withstand the nirvana tide. Therefore, I can't return. However, another clone has already contacted them. However, there isn't enough time. Also, my main body is rushing over. Senior, let's think of a way to kill her first. Night Sorrow said. I can't kill her. She is one of the 3 giants of the devil-winged race. Even at my peak, I could only suppress her. Right now, my soul power is barely enough to use the human emperor's seal to control her. Currently, I'm burning my soul power. At most, I can last for 3 more days. Yen Wushuang's words were somewhat powerless. Senior, is there no other way? Although I'm unwilling, I'm a human. Even if my clone is destroyed, I have to kill her. Night Sorrow knew the human emperor's seal was suppressing a giant of the devil-winged race and made a decision. Human emperor's seal can't be used without a 9-star emperor. In other words, a peak emperor's cultivation. You can't help me. You can't even break her defense by attacking her. Hurry and leave. Inform the human race to prepare for war. This is the underground cavern. She came here to trigger the heaven-desolate earthly fiendish aura in the underground cavern and cancel out the nirvana ocean's tide. When that happens, this entire region will be destroyed and there won't be a single living being left. Furthermore, without the nirvana tide, it will be difficult for the human race to stop the devil-winged race. Sigh. Yen Wushuang's words were a bit hurried, and in the end, he let out a sigh. Originally, he thought that Yishang was a human tribe cultivator and would be followed by a human tribe patriarch. Who would have thought that Yishang was a cultivator who had been exiled by Tianhuang City? Is there no other way? Was nirvana desolate earthly fiendish aura earthly fiendish aura earthly fiendish aura? If you want to kill her now, you must have the cultivation of a rank 9 emperor or the power of a human emperor. Leave quickly. Before my soul power runs out, I will severely injure her, Yen Wushuang said. ID most I5 new D chapter equals previous V, the power of the human sovereign. Yen Wushuang, stop dreaming. There have been bodies of merit and saints of merit in the human race, but that's all in the past. When I go out, I'll make the human race bleed. Anyone who dares to resist will be killed. In the future, the human race will be our devil-winged race's food. Mo Tianji laughed loudly because she was about to escape. Shut up. Why are you talking so much nonsense? You laugh like a wolf. Is it nice? Senior Yen, what is the human emperor's power that you mentioned? Is it related to the merit body? Night Sorrow reprimanded Mo Tianji. Mo Tianji, who was laughing, felt like someone stepped on her neck because Night Sorrow's scolding was rather harsh. The merit body is the power recognized by the heavenly Tao. The merit body of the human merit monarch has another name, which is human emperor's power. Yan Wushuang explained. Mo Tianji laughed. Her 3,000 feet long white hair fluttered in the wind. She had been suppressed by Yan Wushuang's human emperor's seal for countless years. She was about to escape. Night Sorrow also raised his head and laughed. For him, this was a glimmer of hope. He had the merit body. Even if it wasn't at the merit emperor's level, it was more than the merit body. Human ant, what are you laughing about? Mo Tianji stopped laughing because Night Sorrow's laughter made her hair stand on end. Then what are you laughing about? Night Sorrow stopped laughing and looked at Mo Tianji. I'm about to escape. After I recover, it will be the end of the human race. Mo Tianji's words were filled with killing intent. Then I'll answer you now. What am I laughing about? I'm laughing at you. Stop dreaming. Now you can experience what it means by extreme joy begets sorrow. Senior Yen, although I'm not the merit body, I still have the merit body of a great perfection half-sovereign. Even if I can't kill her, it shouldn't be a problem to trick her, right? Night Sorrow stopped the operation of his leakless true body. Then, he activated the merit body and the light of merit from his divine sea. Ha! Mo Tianji, do you know what it means to be prosperous? We've resisted for close to 2 epochs and no outsider has come. The one who came is a human, and a merit body half-sovereign at that. Just admit that you're unlucky. This time, it was Yan Wushuang's turn to laugh. This change in attitude was too sudden. Listening to her laughter, she wants to keep the human race in captivity. Let's kill her now. Senior, what do you want me to do? Night Sorrow looked at the human emperor's seal and asked. Easy. She's on par with me now. The only difference is that I need to burn my soul force. When we fight later, seize the opportunity to get close to the human emperor's seal and pour your merit body into it. I'll use the merit fire to burn this vicious person to death. Yan Wushuang said. You 2 bastards are dreaming. Mo Tianji furiously roared. At this moment, the human emperor's seal erupted with a dark green radiance. The energy threads constantly tightened around Mo Tianji, wanting to tear her body apart. Mo Tianji couldn't move her body. She could only use her 3,000 feet long white hair to resist the energy from the human emperor's seal. The sound of energy explosions constantly resounded. Night Sorrow made his move. He couldn't get close to the human emperor's seal, so he had to think of a way. He waved his space splitter spear and pierced through the spatial barrier. Normally, Night Sorrow couldn't enter the spatial barrier inside the unparalleled formation because the formation had strengthened the spatial barrier. But now, he could. You guys have fun. I'm leaving. Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the spatial turbulence. Then, he charged into the distance. Ha! Yan Wushuang, your human brat ran away. What a joke. Mo Tianji laughed again because this was a joke to her. Yan Wushuang also laughed. He found it funny that Mo Tianji looked down on Night Sorrow. He knew that Night Sorrow wouldn't leave. He didn't understand Night Sorrow. He trusted the merit demi-sovereign. He knew how difficult it was to become a virtuous saint, let alone a virtuous half-emperor who had surpassed the virtuous grand sage and the virtuous heavenly monarch. He definitely wouldn't let the human race down. He attacked crazily, trying to find a chance for Yi Shang to close in. Chapter 1731. The human emperor's seal released threads of energy that tried to strangle Mo Tianji. Her white hair danced in the wind, blocking the energy threads. However, whenever her white hair came into contact with the human emperor's seal, it would be stuck. In the past, more than half of her white hair had been controlled by the human emperor's seal. Knight Sorrow knew that as long as he lay on the human emperor's seal, Yan Wushuang would take care of him. When he got close to the human emperor's seal, Knight Sorrow's left hand slapped toward it. He used the light of virtue hand. Yan Wushuang told him that as long as the light of virtue was on the human emperor's seal, he could activate its power. Damn it! Seeing Knight Sorrow appear, Mo Tianji's white hair whipped toward Knight Sorrow. The white hair was too fast. Knowing that he could not dodge, Knight Sorrow used his space-time domain spatial fold to block it. He also used his virtuous immortal body to protect himself. He did not dare to be careless against one of the three giants of the Demon Wing clan. Paw! Paw! Continuous explosions rang out. Knight Sorrow's space-time domain spatial fold defense was shattered by Mo Tianji's white hair. Knight Sorrow flipped his body and placed the space splitter spear in front of his chest. Then, he used his mysterious yellow armor. Mo Tianji was too strong. Just a single strand of her white hair was enough to make him defend with all his might. Whether or not he could block it was still unknown. Paw! The space splitter spear's shaft was broken by Mo Tianji's white hair. After that, the space splitter spear continued toward Knight Sorrow's chest. Knight Sorrow's expression changed. He knew that the mysterious yellow armor could not block it. There was no chance of luck. Mo Tianji was too strong. His body was about to be cut in half by that strand of white hair. However, at that moment, the human emperor's seal changed. A golden light appeared within the green energy. Then, two threads of energy appeared. One blocked Knight Sorrow's chest, and the other stuck to Mo Tianji's white hair. Then, it pulled them aside and resolved Knight Sorrow's crisis. Old witch, if you don't kill me, I will kill you. Knight Sorrow flipped his body and laid on the human emperor's seal. Then, he placed his left hand on the human emperor's seal and transferred the golden light of merit. At that moment, flames appeared on Mo Tianji's body. They were golden flames. It was the fire of merit. Mo Tianji, aren't you very arrogant? Let's see who will have the last laugh. Brat, hold on. Once you deal with that old witch, the human emperor's seal will be yours. Yan Wushuang laughed loudly. You two bastards, you won't have a good death. I will definitely kill you. Mo Tianji roared. She couldn't withstand it because this was the virtuous soul-extinguishing flame. It was a virtuous fire that was supported by the human emperor's seal. Senior, restrain her. My true body is here. Knight Sorrow shouted. At this moment, his true body had already entered the unparalleled formation. Young man, you have a bright future. With a junior like you, how can the human race not prosper? Ha! Yan Wushuang laughed loudly. Yan Wushuang, you despicable person. You burned your soul and will completely disappear from this world in 3 days. Is it worth it? Let me go and we will fight again in the future. Mo Tianji roared angrily. Back then, you guys surrounded me and destroyed my body. Although it was a body that had its vitality destroyed by the thunder tribulation, I wanted to drag one of you down with me. I hid here and waited. Who would have thought that the unlucky one would be you? You came here to release the baleful chi of heaven and earth. If I didn't trick you, who would I trick? I, Yan Wushuang, don't care about being called a despicable person. Back then, I failed the tribulation of the 7 emperors and was destined to fall. I relied on the human emperor's seal to live for so many years. It is enough. Today, I will drag you down with me. It is worth it. Yan Wushuang's voice was very loud and filled with an indomitable spirit. Little brat, your true body doesn't need to come in. Go to the eastern divine wind position. There is a cave sealed by a boulder there. My inheritance is inside, as well as some worldly possessions. Your true body can take them and leave. Your avatar can stay here with me and fight her to the death. Yan Wushuang's voice entered Yi Shang's divine sea. This time, it was a soul transmission. The virtuous flames on Mo Tianji's body grew stronger and stronger. Her white face was already red. The virtuous flames not only attacked the body but also the soul. Release your soul power into the human emperor's seal. Before my soul is destroyed, I will help you recognize me as your master. Otherwise, you will not be able to move this human emperor's seal. Yan Wushuang's spiritual voice entered Night Sorrow's divine sea again. S+C. Version D+LT. Although he was a little confused, Night Sorrow still did as he was told. At this moment, Night Sorrow felt a majestic power wrap around his soul power and enter the human emperor's seal. Then, the power flowed through the array within the human emperor's seal. A moment later, he entered a space. There was a figure standing in the space. The figure was tall and slender. His hair was tied up in a bun. He looked like a middle-aged scholar. Night Sorrow controlled his soul power to transform into a human body. Young man, you are very good. After my soul dissipates, you will be the sole master of this human emperor's seal. Your cultivation is low. Although you can use your virtuous powers to activate it, its power is not enough. You will get into trouble because of your wealth. Therefore, do not use the human emperor's seal as you wish. Use it as an auxiliary magic treasure. When you reach the emperor realm, you can let the human emperor's seal shine again in the human world. The middle-aged scholar, Yan Wushuang, nodded at Night Sorrow. Senior, is there no other way? Night Sorrow asked. When he heard the conversation between Yan Wushuang and Mo Tianji, he knew that Yan Wushuang did not have long to live. No. I failed the tribulation of the 7 emperors and have actually died. Because of the human emperor's seal, this divine artifact of the human emperor's seal, I was able to struggle at death's door. I have already told you about my inheritance. I do not have any requirements for you. When your cultivation is high enough to protect the human emperor's seal and bring it back to the human emperor's seal, you must prove for me that I am not a sinner of the human race. I did not lose the human emperor's seal. If I did not use it, I would not have been able to control Mo Tianji. Senior, you are a sage of the human race. How can you be a sinner? Night Sorrow said emotionally. How can I control the population of the human race? Didn't you, the virtuous half-emperor, get exiled? I do not want to be buried underground with a bad name. Yan Wushuang said. Night Sorrow, as long as I am alive, I will definitely do it. I will definitely clear your name. Night Sorrow bowed. Good. Let's deal with Mo Tianji first. She is the founder of the winged demon race's cultivation civilization. She possesses the fate of the winged demon race. Once we deal with her, the war between the human race and the winged demon race will be easier. Yan Wushuang made hand seals to activate the virtuous light that Night Sorrow brought into the human emperor's seal. Night Sorrow understood. Yan Wushuang used her soul power to guide his soul power around the human emperor's seal. He already understood some of the core formations of the human emperor's seal. Mo Tianji kept screaming. The virtuous fire attacked her soul, making her suffer unspeakably. Her body trembled as she knelt on the ground. Yan Wushuang, I won't waste time with you. But I want to tell you that you have lost. You will die, but I still have a chance to make a comeback. Mo Tianji roared. A shadow rushed out from her head. It also had 3,000 feet of white hair, but it was covered in flames. Chapter 1732. Haha. Mo Tianji, you lost. I know I can't kill you, so I forced you out of your body. That's my goal. The middle-aged man laughed. Ah. Senior, you're not going to kill her. Night Sorrow was shocked. She's an expert who went through the tribulation of the 7 emperors. Even though she's a bit weaker than me, it's impossible for me, a soul without a body, to kill her. She wasn't confident, so her spirit infant left her body and ran away. Move the human emperor's seal away and put her body away. Then find the most secretive place to hide her. Don't let the Demon Wing clan take her back, Yan Wushuang instructed Yishang. Knight Sorrow used his soul power to move the human emperor's seal away. He could control it now. With the human emperor's seal away, Mo Tianji's body slumped to the ground. Knight Sorrow used his soul power to put Mo Tianji's body into the 8-dragon cauldron and used its energy to suppress her. Knight Sorrow saw a hole where the human emperor's seal used to be. The hole was filled with rolling evil qi. We'll talk later. I'll deal with this first. After Yan Wushuang said that, he controlled the human emperor's seal to release a few streams of energy. Then, with these streams of energy as the core, he quickly set up a floating array. It was like a void array disk. Yan Wushuang's soul power floated above the human emperor's seal. His hands kept releasing energy to complete the void array disk. It took him 4 hours. Seal. Yan Wushuang pressed down with his hands, pressing the void array disk into the ground. It's done. 1 day later, the evil qi of heaven and earth will be suppressed and change the channel. It'll be impossible for the demon wings to trigger the evil qi of heaven and earth here. You've helped me get rid of Mo Tianji. It's a great merit for the human race. It's also a great merit for the entire celestial realm, Yan Wushuang said. After he finished setting up the array, his body became a lot fainter. Senior, please return to the human emperor's seal. I'll take you home when I can. Knight Sorrow's voice was choked with sobs. Child, thank you. I've lived for nearly 1 reincarnation cycle, so I've seen through everything. However, I don't understand. You're the virtuous merit half-sovereign. How could you be exiled? Are the patriarchs of the human clan so muddle-headed these days? Yan Wushuang asked. I was tricked. I was dragged out of the dungeon overnight and exiled. I wasn't given a chance to explain myself. Senior, please don't be disappointed. It's just the actions of an individual. Although Knight Sorrow was filled with hatred, he didn't want Yan Wushuang, whose soul was about to disperse, to have any worries or regrets. Ha! The sharpness of a treasured sword had to be sharpened. This was not a bad thing. To be able to see you before I disappear, to be able to see the rising star of the human race, I am very happy. Have you found my inheritance? A sword, a storage ring, and nothing else. Yan Wushuang looked at Knight Sorrow and said. I've found it. I'm already here. After saying that, Knight Sorrow's true body appeared and merged with his clone. You can't switch to Sword Dao. However, Sword Dao and Spear Dao have a lot in common. You can study them. In addition, you can make the arrangements for my inheritance. You can impart it to whoever you want. However, if you don't have any strength of character or pride, I won't impart it to anyone, even if they rot in the ground. Yan Wushuang looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Knight Sorrow will remember Senior's arrangement. Knight Sorrow nodded. You cultivate Formation Dao. You don't have any problems cultivating my Formation Dao. Can you call me Master? Yan Wushuang looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. Disciple Knight Sorrow greets Master. Knight Sorrow got down on one knee and cupped his fists above his head. Very good. That's enough. I don't have anything to worry about. There are some things, some cultivation experiences, and sword techniques. They are all in the storage ring. Give it to me first. Yan Wushuang waved his arm and used his soul power to pull Knight Sorrow up. Knight Sorrow handed Yan Wushuang's storage ring over. Normally speaking, soul power had nothing to do with material energy. Soul power could not support a storage ring. However, high-level cultivators could use their soul power to move the energy of heaven and earth. Thus, it was not a problem for them. Yan Wushuang took out a large piece of golden stone from his storage ring. He then controlled the human sovereign seal to become the size of a human head, turning it into something similar to a seal. Next, the golden ore melted and poured on the human sovereign seal. Next, his fingers moved rhythmically and one array after another was carved on it. 1 hour later, Yan Wushuang finished what he was doing. However, the jade-green human sovereign seal had turned golden. Update $most coup quickest year, SB, you'll have no problem holding onto it this time. No one will recognize that it's the human sovereign seal. The human sovereign seal contains the human sovereign's sacred scripture, the Tao Te Ching. It contains the human race's moral civilization. If you have a conflict with anyone in the human race, just take this and smash them to death. You won't be tainted by karma, nor will your merit be damaged, he said to Night Sorrow. Master, please return to the human emperor's seal. Disciple will think of a way to find heavenly materials and earthly treasures to help you reconstruct your body. Disciple also has the heavenly Tao flower. Yes, Master, quickly use it. This is the petal of the heavenly Tao. Night Sorrow took out a petal of the heavenly Tao flower and handed it to Yan Wushuang. Silly child, Yang Qi said. During the tribulation of the 7 sovereigns, Master destroyed my life force essence. Those Devil Wing clan trash aren't qualified to destroy Master's fleshly body. Alright, get out of here. I have no regrets. After saying these words, Yan Wushuang's body shook and disappeared in front of Night Sorrow. He did it cleanly, scattering his soul origin as soon as he said so, without any hesitation at all. Night Sorrow closed his eyes for a moment of silence, then bowed 3 times and left. Peace was restored here. No one knew that there was a confrontation between the human race and the Devil Wing clan here. Night Sorrow was in a very low mood because a sage of the human race had fallen. Other than him, no one knew that he had fallen in this heaven-desolate mountain. Night Sorrow swore that he would definitely clear Yan Wushuang's name. Yan Wushuang did not selfishly keep the human emperor's seal, nor did it lose it. Instead, it was used to suppress the Devil Wing clan for the human race. Lin Xianer arrived at the Heaven Sealing Hall, but Night Sorrow was fine. The dust had already settled. Sister Xianer, you're here. Let a Luo accompany you today. I'm not in a good mood, so I need some peace and quiet. Night Sorrow said in a low voice. Alright, I won't leave. Call me if you need anything. Lin Xianer knew that something had happened to Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow's eyes were filled with sorrow. Night Sorrow's main body left the unparalleled formation. The moment he came out, a golden light appeared in the sky. Virtuous golden light. I can't leave. Night Sorrow knew that he couldn't leave this place. If he left the unparalleled formation, he would be easily discovered by the Devil Wing clan. If he was discovered by the Devil Wing clan, he would be dead. Night Sorrow returned to the unparalleled formation in 2 flashes, then went to the core area of the formation and sat down cross-legged. At this time, golden lotuses were floating in the sky, and the sound of nature reverberated. However, the sound of nature was mixed with sorrowful cries. At this time, not only the heaven-desolate mountain, but the heaven-desolate city and the human race's celestial realm were also filled with golden lotuses. The human race's elders in the heaven-desolate city all gathered in the divination hall and began to perform divination. Chapter 1733. At this moment, Night Sorrow's heart was filled with sadness. Coupled with the fact that he was exiled, anger rose in his heart. In the past, Night Sorrow couldn't sense other people's divination. But now, he could clearly sense that someone was watching him. This was the power of the Deluxe Merit Emperor. Therefore, when he punched, the projection collapsed, causing the diviner to bleed from the corner of his mouth. The diviner stood up and said, "Lords, I can't perform the divination anymore." "What's going on, Deluxe Merit Emperor?" Lu Qi looked at the Grand Elder. "Yes, the problem is serious. We don't know how we provoked him again. His heart is filled with anger. His eyes were filled with sadness just now. The sound of nature was filled with sorrow. That's his state of mind." The Grand Elder said. "That's strange. We didn't provoke him. It's just a divination. There's no need for him to be so angry. Did something happen to him in the array formation that caused him to be dissatisfied with us?" Gu Qi said suspiciously. "It's very possible. Elder Zhai Xing, don't perform the divination anymore. The Deluxe Merit Emperor isn't someone you can casually pry into. He has the power of the human sovereign. To a certain extent, his will is an order. His thoughts can't be disobeyed." The Grand Elder said. "Our human race has never had a Deluxe Merit Emperor. Aren't we going to bring him back?" Gu Qi asked. "We'll talk about this later. Inform all the human elders in Tianhuang City for a meeting," the Grand Elder said. After Night Sorrow punched, golden light rippled in all directions. Night Sorrow felt that he had broken something. He understood that the divination had been interrupted. This was the power of virtue of the Deluxe Merit Emperor. After solving this problem, Night Sorrow sat down cross-legged and began to collect the Deluxe Merit Golden Lotuses falling from the sky. More Deluxe Merit Golden Lotuses fell from the 9-domain world. The sound of nature was heard, but it carried a sad aura. In front of the heaven-sealing hall, Night Sorrow sat cross-legged and collected the power of virtue descending from heaven and earth. Inside the Tianhuang mountain, Night Sorrow's original body and his avatar sat separately. They circulated the leakless true body and gathered the light of merit. This lasted for 4 hours before the world quieted down. Night Sorrow also stood up. He had completely retracted his light of virtue. After sensing it, Night Sorrow discovered that his body was completely soaked in the light of virtue. Whether it was his flesh, blood, bones, or divine sea, they were all shining with a golden light. His bones had become true lustrous golden bones. Exhaling twice, Night Sorrow planned to find a safe place to stabilize himself and study his own body. Then, he would finish his battle with Demon Throat. After the battle, he would hide and cultivate in peace. Mo Tianji's escape was a hidden danger, and the golden light that filled the sky had caused a huge commotion. In addition, he had killed many Demon Wings race members. With these factors added together, it was normal for the Demon-Winged clan to come to the heavenly desolate mountain to search and capture people. The Peerless formation was very powerful, but if the other party came to find them, and if there was really a supreme powerhouse, the formation wasn't omnipotent. After leaving the Peerless formation, Night Sorrow didn't return to his cultivation base. Instead, he went to the teleportation array closest to his cultivation base. After taking the teleportation crystal from the array, he smashed the clear sky pagoda into the ground and began cultivating. The body of virtue had become the virtuous emperor. If he wanted to transform the power of virtue into strength, he first had to strengthen the virtuous immortal body and then use the virtuous hand. In the 9-domain world, Night Sorrow's avatar stood up and nodded to his wife. Virtuous Emperor. Lin Xian looked at Night Sorrow. Yes. When you have time, ask Brother Wufing to come over. I will help him deal with the cold poison in his body. Ah Luo, ask Aunt Fei to come over when she has time. I will also give it a try, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, what happened? Why are you not in a good mood? Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. It's just that I'm a bit emotional and touched. Yi Shang nodded. Your punch injured the heavenly desolate city's divination master. Now, the human clan's elders are in a meeting, Lin Xian said. I don't care. I don't care what they want to do. Night Sorrow's eyes were filled with sadness. Can you tell me what happened? Lin Xian asked. I saw a human clan sage fall in front of me. If the human clan had taken action earlier, Master wouldn't be like this. He has been fighting alone for countless years by burning his soul, Night Sorrow growled. Master. What happened to 13? Yang Lei grabbed Night Sorrow's shoulder and asked. Yishang told him about Yan Wushuang's matter and her death. That's right. If the human clan had advanced over the years and taken the initiative to fight, they might have discovered the existence of the Peerless Formation. Then, these things wouldn't have happened. It's too painful to keep burning one's soul to fight, Lin Xian said. I will tell you the results of their meeting. Also, don't be too sad. This is fate. Fortunately, you rushed there in time and didn't let Senior Yan's efforts go to waste. According to Senior Yan, Mo Tianji's clone was destroyed and her original body was suppressed. This time, her nascent soul left her body and her injuries were very serious, Lin Xian said. Yes, I am just a little sad. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood some things, but his heart was touched more. It's a good thing that we got the human emperor's seal. Let's keep this matter to ourselves. Even if the human clan's elders ask, they won't know, Lin Xian said. Hearing Lin Xian's words, everyone nodded. This matter was more serious. Sister Xian, let me know if there's anything. I'm going to cultivate. Night Sorrow nodded to them and entered the heaven sealing hole. Seeing the human clan sages fall after countless years of hard work, it's inevitable that Night Sorrow will feel sad. Let's wait and see first, Lin Xian said. In the Tianhuang city's conference hall, all the human clan's elders had arrived. The Grand Elder sent someone to call Lin Piamiao, who originally didn't participate. Normally, she didn't have enough experience and wasn't qualified to attend. 2. Everyone has seen what happened today. We humans have an unprecedented merit emperor. This is a big deal. What do you all think? The Grand Elder asked. Yes. You're right. Grand Elder, the birth of the virtuous emperor proves that the human clan's luck has arrived. We should bring him back now, Gu Qi said. I can't make the decision on this matter. It was the city lord's decision to let him come back after the Nirvana tide. Before the city lord gives a new order, we can only follow the previous order. The Grand Elder shook his head. Grand Elder, Night Sorrow has a very bad impression of the human clan's elders. Today, he waved his hand and said those words. Also, our fortune teller should stop divining. If he becomes the virtuous emperor, he will be aware of the divining and it will make him even more annoyed. Things will get out of hand. He's not giving us any face now, Emperor Tang said. Chapter 1734. Commander Lin, have you seen him before? What's the situation now? The Grand Elder looked at Lin Piamiao. Yes, he's not in a good condition now. Lin Piamiao said. Is he in danger? Lu Qi stood up. I don't know. Piamiao is talking about the state of mind. Tell the elders. Unparalleled Sword Emperor fell in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow saw his soul dissipate with his own eyes. For countless years, the peerless Sword Emperor burned his soul to fight against the Demon Wing clan's powerhouses even though his physical body had perished. Personally seeing the peerless Sword Emperor die in front of him was a huge blow to Yishan, said Lin Piamiao. Unparalleled Sword Emperor's battle strength is shocking. We humans should admire that. But he disappeared with the human emperor's seal. He's a sinner of the human race. A human elder said. Law enforcement elderly, is this appropriate? Back then, unparalleled Sword Emperor's body was destroyed. Would he covet the human emperor's seal? He fought for the human race. Before the human race confirmed the death of unparalleled Sword Emperor and knew that he went to Infinite Wasteland to fight against the demon-winged clan, did they search for him? Did they send reinforcements? If we had searched earlier, unparalleled Sword Emperor's soul wouldn't have been destroyed. Hearing this law enforcement elderly who had just brought a group of elites from the human race, Lin Piaomiao was dissatisfied. Do you have the right to talk about these things as a commander? Whether he's a sinner or not, is that something you can say? The blue-robed law enforcement elderly glared at Lin Piaomiao. So what if I'm a commander? The status of a human elder isn't used to oppress others. It doesn't matter if you look down on me. I also look down on people who use their status to oppress others. Lin Piaomiao sneered. Alright, everyone stop arguing. Let's discuss this slowly. The Grand Elder shook his head at Lin Piaomiao. Alright, let's not talk about Yan Wushuang first. Is the human emperor's seal in Knight Soro's hands? Where is he? Our human elders will go and retrieve the human emperor's seal. Law enforcement elderly said. Lin Piaomiao turned her head to one side. Since she didn't say anything, no one else answered. Lin Piaomiao, I'm asking you a question. Enforcer elderly stood up, his eyes filled with rage. His words were directed at Lin Piaomiao, but Lin Piaomiao ignored him. You banished them and didn't care if they lived or died. Then, if there are treasures, as long as they are treasures, you don't need to talk about how to deal with them. You're really good. Go ask Knight Soro, why are you asking me? Don't ask me, and don't yell at me, lest you embarrass yourself. Hearing Elder Li's words, Lin Piaomiao was so angry that she laughed. She didn't care who was shouting at her. How dare you? Do you have any respect for your seniors? Is there still any Human Clan Elders Association? Law enforcement elderly couldn't maintain his composure anymore. You're the superior one and I'm the inferior one. What are you? Are you trying to find a sense of existence on me, Lin Piaomiao? What do you want? If you want to fight, then come. Lin Piaomiao's right hand gripped the hilt of her long sword. Original version % first issue, Li Zongyuan, what's wrong with you? Do you have to show off in front of Lin Piaomiao? Lin Piaomiao is brave just because she said a few words of truth. Qin Qinjie spoke. Li Zongyuan was law enforcement elderly. Does she have any respect for the human clan elders? Li Zongyuan looked at Qin Qinjie. Lower your attitude. Commander Lin was invited by the Grand Elder to participate in the Human Clan Elders Association. The birth of the human clan's virtuous great emperor is a big matter. We should pay attention to it. Talent is the foundation. Must we force her to dislike our Human Clan Elders Association? Lu Qi said. Knight Soro received the unparalleled Sword Sovereign's inheritance and is also a disciple of his master. If anyone says that the unparalleled Sword Sovereign is a sinner, I don't know what Knight Soro will think, but it definitely won't be a good thing. Lin Piaomiao said. We can't divine it. We don't know what's going on with him. Let nature take its course. The Grand Elder said. Then, the Human Clan Elders Association dispersed. The Grand Elder called Lu Qi and Lin Piaomiao to the small world of his tower. Commander Lin, are you still angry? The Grand Elder looked at Lin Piaomiao and asked. No, I just feel that the world has changed. Lin Piaomiao said. Whether it's a merit or a crime, there's a public opinion. It's not decided by just one person. There's a sad atmosphere in the sound of nature. It's obvious that this matter has a great impact on Knight Soro. It's been hard on you to comfort him. The Grand Elder said. It's nothing. I'll try my best. Lin Piaomiao nodded. Time and time again, Knight Soro is becoming more and more disappointed in our Tianhuang city. The human clan's virtuous great emperor is also disappointed in us. What's going on? Lu Qi sighed. In Tianhuang Mountain, the clear sky pagoda was underground. Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger were both diligently cultivating. The original body integrated the light of virtue into the void spacetime domain, while the doppelganger used the domain for actual combat. Their cultivation did not interfere with each other's. Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger were not on the same floor in the clear sky pagoda. The doppelganger's actual combat practice would not affect the original body's cultivation. There were still 2 months before the battle with Demon Throat. Night Sorrow could not estimate how much Demon Throat's strength had improved. He already knew that Demon Throat was a member of the Demon Wing clan's royal family. Accelerated cultivation was naturally not a problem, and he would not lack resources. Since he did not lack resources and time for cultivation, it was difficult to predict the current situation of Demon Throat, who had not displayed his full strength at that time. Next was the battle to the death. With the acceleration of the clear sky pagoda, Night Sorrow still had a lot of time. Now that no one was divining his future, the human race elders in Tianhuang City knew that spying on the virtuous emperor was against the heavenly Tao. If they angered the virtuous emperor, they would suffer a backlash, and the consequences would be severe. Lin Xian stayed in the 9 regions world mainly because she could be the first to know about Night Sorrow's situation. However, in reality, Night Sorrow stayed in the heaven-sealing Great Hall and did not come out. He had been studying array formations all this time. Wu Fing and Song Ning arrived at 9 regions city. The two were already engaged, and Datura had also arranged a residence for them in 9 regions world. Knowing the situation in 9 regions world, they understood that Night Sorrow was taking a risk and had absolute trust in him. The two threw out the heavenly Tao oath that they would never do anything that would harm 9 regions world. Knowing that Night Sorrow had entered the virtuous emperor level, Song Ning and Wu Fing were very happy. This allowed Wu Fing to see the light of curing the cold poison in his body. Although the cold poison in Wu Fing's body was not fatal, it had a great impact. With the cold poison in his body, even if he got married, he would not have children. In addition, it would also affect his cultivation and future achievements. Although they were excited, they did not call for Night Sorrow to come out of seclusion. This was because they knew that this was an unusual time for Night Sorrow. While drinking tea, Lin Xian gave Song Ning some instructions. Chapter 1735. What's wrong? Do they dare to touch our ethereal dynasty? Song Ning said with a frown. Be on guard. They are all elders of the human race, so it's hard to say what they will do. Therefore, it's best to be cautious. Star Moon Lake must be guarded carefully. Night Sorrow's appearance will cause the ethereal dynasty to become an unstable region, and Star Moon Lake is the core of this region, Lin Xian said. Got it. Wu Fing and I'll send our clones to Star Moon City. We'll kill whoever comes. If we can't kill them, come and get Sister Xian. Song Ning was in a good mood because Wu Fing's problem was about to be solved. The power of virtue was vast and majestic, but there were no laws or attributes in it. Therefore, the fusion with the domain was only a buff. It wasn't difficult. Night Sorrow used half a month in the real world to complete it. When needed, Night Sorrow could use the virtuous void spacetime domain. Normally, it would be the virtuous void spacetime domain, and he could switch it at any time. After his power of virtue had leveled up and stabilized, Night Sorrow connected the teleportation array and returned to the stronghold he stole from Demon Throat. He then dismantled the teleportation array. When he wanted to leave, he could use the teleportation array disk. If there was a problem with the teleportation array, it would be unwise to let the Demon Wing clan know about it. Releasing the clear sky pagoda, Night Sorrow began to cultivate. Now, his spacetime domain had reached 18%, his void domain had reached 12%, and his destruction domain had reached 40%. There was a lot of room for improvement, so he had to improve it if he had the chance. In a month in the real world, Night Sorrow could cultivate for more than 4 years. As for safety, Night Sorrow wasn't worried. There was an illusion array here, and he still had the teleportation array disc in his hand. If Demon Throat used a sneak attack, he could directly teleport away. As for breaking the array, although a high-level Emperor could break it, it would take time. By then, Night Sorrow would have escaped. As the time of the battle approached, Night Sorrow felt a little regretful because there wasn't enough time for him to break through to the 2-star Emperor realm. He had never thought that his cultivation speed was already the best in the world. Every monarch cultivated for months and years and relied on the accumulation of time. If others knew about his cultivation speed, their jaws would definitely drop to the ground in shock. In addition, after entering the virtuous Emperor realm, Night Sorrow's body had a special situation. In the past, the lightning tribulation had left 3 traces of destructive energy in Night Sorrow's body. There was also a trace of energy that was filled with fatality. It was very weak and didn't react at all. However, as the body of merit entered the Emperor realm, Night Sorrow's flesh, blood, bones, and veins were all filled with the light of merit. Therefore, this energy was nourished and strengthened. Night Sorrow couldn't analyze what element it was. It was different from the element he knew. More than a month had passed in the blink of an eye. Night Sorrow stopped the illusory killing array he had arranged and strengthened it. He and Lin Xianer had been cultivating array formations in the sub-body of the Clear Sky Pagoda. Although the time spent wasn't very long, the results were great. Lin Xianer explained from the foundation and from the principles of array formation. Night Sorrow's array formation standards had already surpassed the level of alchemy and weapon refinement. He was already a mid-level Emperor Master, which was also a monarch-level Emperor Master. U% Emperor Masters were also divided into ranks. According to the difference in levels, there were 3 ranks: low-level, mid-level, and high-level. The corresponding titles were Monarch-level Emperor Master, Monarch-level Emperor Master, and Emperor-level Emperor Master. Night Sorrow's alchemy and weapon refinement were at the low-level Emperor Master level, which was also Monarch-level Emperor Master level. However, his array formation cultivation was already Monarch-level Emperor Master. Night Sorrow's soul power was strong, far surpassing cultivators of the same level. His deduction ability was strong. In addition, Lin Xianer didn't hold back in her explanation. Night Sorrow's array formation cultivation naturally rose. Lin Xianer already had feelings in her heart. How could she not teach him seriously? Night Sorrow stopped the illusory killing array to give Mo Ho a chance to approach. Of course, if he detected other Demon Wing clan members coming, Night Sorrow would activate the array formation and then slip away. On this day, Night Sorrow's main body stopped cultivating and also kept the Clear Sky Pagoda. Because he was practicing his battle strength, his clone that was cultivating soul extinguishing / detected Mo Ho's appearance. He wasn't alone. There were 2 Demon Wing clan elders that Night Sorrow couldn't detect. The 3 of them stopped when they were 30,000 miles away from Night Sorrow. This was the limit of an emperor's detection. Normally, an emperor wouldn't be able to detect them. Night Sorrow could detect them because he had been paying attention to the cultivation of his soul power all these years. It was also because of his good foundation that his spirit sea expanded a lot when he cultivated the Myriad Dao treasured tome. Night Sorrow's body was at the 9th level. It had already exceeded the range of the Myriad Dao treasured tome. However, he had also figured out the direction of cultivation. That was to transform his body into energy. His flesh and blood were energy, so were his body and bones. This way, some attacks couldn't touch his body and couldn't destroy the energy in his body. Although there was still a path to walk, Night Sorrow already had a clear direction. In fact, his body already had some abilities. For example, when he punched out, it had the attack characteristics of the virtuous void domain. It had the power of heaven and earth and Tao presence. This was a realm that no one had reached. Even the author of the Myriad Dao treasured tome didn't reach Night Sorrow's level. The myriad Tao treasured tome was blank when it reached the heaven monarch realm, let alone the 9th level. Knight Sorrow didn't have the time or energy. He should reorganize and rewrite the myriad Tao treasured tome until it reached the arch realm. That would be a complete inheritance and sect. Cultivating the myriad Tao treasured tome was more difficult. However, as the 9 regions' world's level increased, elixirs and resources were sufficient. The myriad Tao treasured tome was no longer an untouchable realm. Of course, without great perseverance, one couldn't cultivate it. The process was too painful. When Knight Sorrow thought about it, his heart turned cold. After detecting that demon throat had brought people here, Knight Sorrow smiled. This time, there was no need for a gentleman's battle. It was a battle of life and death between the races. After the 2 elders detected Knight Sorrow, they communicated with Demon Throat. Knight Sorrow knew that it must be a scheme against him. Knight Sorrow kept the clear sky pagoda and began to prepare for battle. Under normal circumstances, Knight Sorrow should leave. This was because Demon Throat had brought people here. To him, it was already a threat. It was no longer rational to accept the battle. However, Knight Sorrow had his own thoughts and plans. Demon Throat was a member of the royal family of the Demon Wing race. He was a rising star with great potential. If he could kill him, it would be a great harvest. The battle between the younger generation of the human race and the Demon Wing race was also a battle of luck. As for the danger, Knight Sorrow also had his own considerations. The 2 elders of the Demon Wing race were 30,000 miles away from him. Although they were fast, they still needed some time to arrive. This time was enough for Knight Sorrow to activate the array and retreat. Demon Throat had arrived. Because the array had been shut down, Demon Throat had successfully arrived within 300 meters of Knight Sorrow. I thought you had already left. It seems like you are really not afraid of death. You dare to wait here for 3 years. Demon Throat sized up Knight Sorrow. Chapter 1736. Ha! What should I say about you? I didn't want to fight to the death with you last time. I can tell you the reason. It's because I still have important things to do. Getting injured will affect me and affect my ranking in the clan. Even if you didn't come last time, I would have returned. So, I simply let you have my territory for 3 years. Now that I'm back and you still haven't left, you're courting death. Demon Throat looked at Knight Sorrow as if he was looking at a fool. I've always respected my opponent, but you don't deserve my respect. Courting death. I'm afraid you don't have the right to say that. Knight Sorrow swung his reincarnation spear to the side. Go to hell. Demon Throat flapped his wings and charged towards Knight Sorrow. His speed was extremely fast, much faster than last time. Shameless boasting. Knight Sorrow activated his void spacetime domain and waved his left hand. A void heaven-covering hand slammed towards Demon Throat. In the past, Knight Sorrow's heaven-covering hand was powered by the power of desolates. After the power of desolates evolved into the power of time, the fusion of time and space attributes, forming the spacetime attribute, it had never been used. Now that it was powered by the void energy, it was much stronger than the power of desolates. The purple energy hand slammed towards Demon Throat. Demon Throat's saber trembled, and a shadow appeared on the saber. With a roar, it charged towards Knight Sorrow's energy hand. After a loud explosion, Knight Sorrow and Demon Throat separated. Not bad. Then, you still have to die. Demon Throat roared and charged towards Knight Sorrow again. Shut up. You were the one who ran away last time. How dare you speak nonsense again? I hate people like you. If I knew you were like this, I wouldn't have let you go last time. I would have spared your dog life. Knight Sorrow was a little angry. He hated people who boasted. Knight Sorrow and Demon Throat fought in the air. They were evenly matched. Night Sorrow's body was tough, but Demon Throat's true chi was abundant. He was already a peak 2-star emperor, one whole level higher than Night Sorrow. In addition, the Demon Wing clan's body was also very strong. Night Sorrow knew why Demon Throat boasted. Last time, Demon Throat didn't have such strength. He was hiding his strength. The two Demon Wing clan's elders have been watching and did not move. They believed in Demon Throat's strength. He was a descendant of the Demon Wing clan's royal family. Unable to gain the upper hand in a head-on clash, Demonic Throat let out a low growl. Following that, his body split into two. Both his main body and his avatar appeared. Energy phantoms appeared behind both of them. That was the totem of the Demon Wing clan's ancestor. When the Demon Wing clan's cultivation technique was cultivated to a certain level, the totem would appear. It would also increase one's strength. Both the original body and the clone went out to fight. Demon Throat wanted to completely kill Night Sorrow. Demon Throat's main body forced Night Sorrow to retreat with a single slash. With the totem's increase, Demon Throat's combat strength had indeed increased a lot. Night Sorrow, who had received some shock, added the power of virtue to his domain. Suppress. Night Sorrow roared. His clone appeared. Then, he and his clone used soul extinguishing slash to kill Demon Throat's main body. Then, he and his clone attacked Demon Throat's main body at the same time. They used their lost skills, Destruction True Dragon Secret Art. Night Sorrow planned to kill Demon Throat quickly and then retreat. After all, there were two Demon Wing clan's elders, whose cultivation he couldn't see, following Demon Throat. If he let Demon Throat be at a disadvantage first, the other party would rush over to support him. Not only would he not be able to kill Demon Throat, but he would also be in danger. Night Sorrow's soul attack was launched. Demon Throat's soul power also burst forth. The halos on his and his clone's horns pulsed rhythmically and flew toward Night Sorrow's soul extinguishing slash crescent moon blade. The remaining halos also flew toward Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow and his clone activated the 9 regions origin beads and green lotus jade bracelet to defend their divine sea. Then, they continued to rush forward. The reincarnation spear and space splitter spear's tips emitted black halos that enveloped the surroundings. Naturally, Demon Throat's main body and his clone were also enveloped. Night Sorrow's space splitter spear was broken by Mo Tianji's white hair. He simply reconnected it. He didn't spend much effort because he wanted to find time to upgrade his weapon. His current refining technique was at the elementary monarch realm, but his array Dao cultivation was already at the monarch realm. There was a lot of room for improvement in his refining technique. Therefore, he simply reconnected it just to make do with it. When Night Sorrow's power of virtue was added to the void domain, the domain's power suddenly increased greatly. Demon Throat's domain was directly suppressed and retracted to his side. It was similar to a protective air shield. After suppressing both Demon Throat's main body and his clone, Night Sorrow's main body and his clone attacked Demon Throat's main body. The main body used the Void Extreme Point kill while the clone used the Void Origin kill. Break! After being suppressed, Demon Throat roared and propped up his domain outwards. He knew that Night Sorrow had made his move. He had to reverse the current situation. However, at this moment, Night Sorrow's attack arrived. Demon Throat could only wave his battle blade to block. Following a muffled sound, Night Sorrow's clone's attack was blocked by Demon Throat's battle blade. At this moment, Night Sorrow's main body flashed and attacked Demon Throat's main body, which was retreating. At the same time, both the main body and his clone's left hand slapped out with the void covering hand towards Demon Throat's clone. Controlling Demon Throat's clone and killing Demon Throat's main body was Night Sorrow's tactic. Permanent SD free to look at E. Small U8 Demon Throat's main body was bleeding from the corner of his mouth. His soul was affected and he couldn't fully release his true chi. He was already injured by Night Sorrow's clone's void origin kill. Night Sorrow's two soul-extinguishing crescent moons were still slashing towards his deity C. At this moment, Night Sorrow's main body's reincarnation spear shook and the destructive true dragon art was unleashed once more. Devil Throat's main body was affected by the black halo of annihilation true dragon secret art. His aura immediately dissipated. Seeing that he was about to be attacked, Devil Throat's doppelganger, who was still conscious, grew anxious. The wings on his back trembled, and he practically teleported to block Night Sorrow's attack. In that case, I'll kill your clone first before killing your main body. Night Sorrow's main body and the clone that rushed over attacked together. The clone executed the Great Emperor reincarnation / while the main body executed the destructive true dragon art. Demon Throat's clone, who used his blade to block Night Sorrow's main body's attack, was naturally affected by the destructive true dragon art and the Great Emperor reincarnation / unleashed by Night Sorrow's clone. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear seemed to have shuttled through space and appeared directly in front of Demon Throat's clone's chest, piercing through his body. Explode! At this moment, Demon Throat's main body, who had regained his consciousness, roared. Then, his clone swelled up and exploded. The self-explosion of a two-star emperor was too terrifying. Night Sorrow's main body and clone were sent flying. This was because Night Sorrow's domain and body were tyrannical. Otherwise, they would be destroyed by the explosion. Disperse. Night Sorrow used the power of the virtuous emperor's verbal law to pacify the violent energy. However, Demon Throat's true body had already fled. The wings on his back flapped, and he was extremely fast. He had already left the array formations area. Night Sorrow got up and chased after him for 2 steps. Then, he quickly threw out the Holy Spirit stone and activated the illusion array. The 2 old men brought by Demon Throat were already rushing over. Chapter 1737. Night Sorrow had no choice but to run. If he chased after Demon Throat, the 2 experts brought by Demon Throat would approach the battlefield before he could catch up. By then, Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to leave even if he wanted to. Before leaving, Night Sorrow didn't forget to grab Demon Throat's weapon and undamaged storage ring. Normally, a powerful explosion would destroy a storage ring. Perhaps because of Night Sorrow's energy, Demon Throat's storage ring wasn't destroyed. After teleporting once, Night Sorrow removed the teleportation array and changed the crystal on the teleportation array disk before teleporting again. After a few teleportations, Night Sorrow returned to his first stronghold at the Nirvana seaside. Removing the first teleportation array was for insurance. Night Sorrow didn't remove the teleportation arrays at the back. The Heaven Desolate mountain was huge. It wouldn't be easy to find a cultivator who was deliberately hiding. Furthermore, Night Sorrow had a spatial treasure to hide himself. It wouldn't be easy to find him. After arriving at the stronghold at the Nirvana seaside, Night Sorrow changed the teleportation crystal on the teleportation array disk. Night Sorrow already had plans. After dealing with Demon Throat, he would cultivate at the Nirvana seaside. He would cultivate while enduring the Nirvana tide to comprehend the worldly momentum. The Nirvana tide contained the worldly momentum of many attributes. Night Sorrow didn't choose this place at first because the Nirvana tide was too violent. His cultivation was too low and it wasn't suitable for him to cultivate here. Now that he had become an emperor through merit, his spacetime and nothingness attributes had improved. His strength had increased greatly, so he could try it at the Nirvana seaside. He would have to come into contact with the Nirvana tide in the future. If he didn't, he wouldn't be able to return to the Heaven Desolate City, the Ethereal Empire, and the 9-domain world. However, before that, Night Sorrow had to erase the soul imprint on Demon Throat's storage ring and weapon. Otherwise, Night Sorrow would be able to sense it. Although it was suppressed in the Clear Sky Pagoda and it wouldn't be easy to find his location, he had to deal with it first just in case. Demon Throat's cultivation was higher than Night Sorrow's, but his soul power was not as strong as Night Sorrow's. After trying to refine it, Night Sorrow realized that Demon Throat's soul imprint was still very stubborn. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow took out the human sovereign seal and infused it with the power of merit, activating the array within the human sovereign seal. The power of merit transformed into a flame of merit, which he channeled into Demon Throat's storage ring and weapon. The power of the fire of virtue was beyond Night Sorrow's imagination. In just a moment, it had erased the soul imprint on Demon Throat's weapon and storage ring. KJ knew 9M soonish then, Night Sorrow entered the 8-dragon cauldron and looked at Imo Tianji's corpse, which was wrapped up by the weapon's spirit's energy. Imo Tianji's corpse was also an unstable factor, but Night Sorrow had no way to deal with it. He couldn't destroy it at all. He had tried, but weapons couldn't enter her body. This meant that Imo Tianji's level was very high. Night Sorrow had studied it. It wasn't that Imo Tianji's body was very strong, but that there was a layer of protective energy inside her body that he couldn't break. In other words, there was something similar to a mark on Imo Tianji's body. Since he couldn't destroy it, Night Sorrow could only suppress it. The safest way was to return to the celestial realm's human territory as soon as possible. That way, it would be difficult for the demon-winged race to snatch it back. However, Night Sorrow couldn't return now. How could he ask the human race's elders? He didn't want to be involved with the human race's elders anymore. He would do what he could and what he couldn't do. As long as he didn't die, he would be able to survive. Worried about his safety, Night Sorrow communicated with Shao Kong and the weapon spirit of the 8-dragon cauldron. Then, he kept the 8-dragon cauldron in the clear sky pagoda and used 2 spatial magic treasures to suppress it. He isolated other people's senses and Imo Tianji's aura. Then, Night Sorrow's clone stayed in the stronghold while his main body flew towards the Nirvana Ocean. When he arrived at the Nirvana Ocean, Night Sorrow saw the Nirvana Ocean waves that were hundreds of feet tall. It was caused by the Nirvana immortal wind. Sitting down cross-legged, Night Sorrow began to comprehend the power of heaven and earth contained within the Nirvana tide. However, at this moment, he sensed something. Night Sorrow stood up and threw out a punch that shone with golden light. No matter who wants to do divination, you can't. Night Sorrow understood that someone had used divination on him. To be able to sense it in advance was an ability he gained after entering the virtuous Emperor realm. At this moment, in a city, an old man who was sitting cross-legged spat out a mouthful of blood. This subordinate is useless. Prince, please punish me. The old man stood up and bowed towards Imo Ho, who was sitting by the side. The image wasn't clear just now. Why did it disappear? Imo Ho's face was filled with anger. Behind him were 2 old men who were filled with killing intent. He has a method to prevent divination. Therefore, this subordinate couldn't do it. The black-robed old man, who was also the divination master of the devil-winged race, said. Imo Ho waved his hand. He was extremely angry now. He had suffered a loss. His clone was destroyed in the devil-winged race's territory. This was a great humiliation. Additionally, Imo Ho was clear that if it wasn't for his 2 subordinates, Night Sorrow would have destroyed his main body. Prince, if you can't do it, then send someone to search. The human race didn't attack the heaven-desolate mountain. He came here on his own. If he didn't run back, then we can dig him out. One of the old men said. This kid is very cunning. He is an array emperor master. He can set up illusion arrays and teleportation arrays. It won't be easy to catch him. Although he was very angry, Imo Ho didn't lose his mind. Then what should we do? The old man who spoke asked. Since divination is ineffective, we'll mobilize experts to search for him. Send clansmen with higher soul power than him to scout the Mount Tianhuang. Then, we'll set up a trap and catch him off guard. We won't give him a chance to escape using formations, Demon Throat said. The old man nodded and went to make the arrangements. Mo-Ho was the prince of the devil-winged race and had the authority to mobilize the devil-winged race's army. It wouldn't be a problem to mobilize some imperial emperors into the heaven-desolate mountain. In addition, the devil-winged race already knew that some of their clansmen had died in the heaven-desolate mountain. They also began to clean up the heaven-desolate mountain. However, Night Sorrow had already left the heaven-desolate mountain. He had expected some things. In the following days, Night Sorrow planned to steadily improve his cultivation. He was anxious to leave the heaven-desolate mountain, but being anxious wouldn't solve the problem. He had to have the ability to withstand the nirvana tide. Night Sorrow took out the clear sky pagoda and placed it on the nirvana seaside. He sat at the top of the clear sky pagoda and watched the nirvana waves and nirvana divine wind as he began to comprehend. While his main body was cultivating in the heaven-desolate mountain, Night Sorrow's clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall began to cultivate refining skills. He wanted to improve his refining skills. It was very difficult to cultivate alchemy and refining skills. He had to have materials. Night Sorrow had accumulated a lot of materials. Over the years, he had been fighting and robbing. He had accumulated a lot of materials. When he looted nearly 200 cities in the East How Mountain, he had earned a lot of materials. Night Sorrow didn't want to cultivate alchemy for the time being. The main reason was that the inheritance wasn't good enough. Cultivating alchemy now would be a waste of materials. As for refining skills, Lin Xian had taught him a lot when he was cultivating array formations. She had also imparted some refining skills, so he could cultivate them. Chapter 1738. The heaven-desolate mountain was turned upside down. The demon wing race's experts were sent out to search for Night Sorrow's traces in the heaven-desolate mountain. However, Night Sorrow had already disappeared and started to cultivate. Time slipped away in this state. Year after year, day after day. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. Night Sorrow had comprehended 20% of his spacetime attribute and entered the 2-star Emperor realm. He had also comprehended 15% of his void attribute. The increase in the realms of these two attributes caused Night Sorrow's domain power to increase by a lot. In addition, his comprehension of the destruction of heaven and earth was also very high. This was because the destruction of waves and destruction of winds contained the strongest destructive intent. Night Sorrow was working hard and waiting. When the destruction domain was truly formed, he would be able to advance towards the level 4 domain power. Although his cultivation was low, Night Sorrow believed that his domain power would be very strong. This was because the 4 attributes were all tyrannical. Void and destruction were the 2 supreme attributes. Time and space were the strongest high-level combat attributes. As for the death attribute in his body, he could only cultivate it in the future to reach the level 5 domain power. After 2 years of cultivation, Night Sorrow's destruction domain power had reached 90%. He was only 1 point away from the Emperor realm. During these 2 years, Night Sorrow had been sitting at the top of the clear sky pagoda. He had cultivated for more than 60 years. The clear sky pagoda had a time acceleration of 50 times. Night Sorrow sat at the top of the pagoda, and with the help of the artifact spirit, it had reached more than 30 times. Night Sorrow was looking forward to his destruction attribute entering the Emperor realm. After entering the Emperor realm and having a completed destruction domain, he could then study the level 4 domain power. The fusion of domains was more troublesome. He had to find common points. It wasn't as if he could successfully fuse domains. It was very difficult. However, Night Sorrow had a plan. He wanted to increase his cultivation while fusing domains. The time it took for him to reach the level 3-star Emperor realm might allow him to study domains. The demon wing race's emperors could be seen flying back and forth in the heaven-desolate mountain. They were looking for Night Sorrow's traces. Demon Throat was really angry. He had never suffered such a loss. His clone was destroyed, which directly affected his future achievements. Although his body exploded and his soul power was gathered, he still lost a part of it. The human race's elders in the heaven-desolate city didn't know about Night Sorrow's situation. In these 2 years, they had tried to divine divination for Night Sorrow twice. But what greeted them was a golden fist. They didn't see anything. Then, the image collapsed. That bastard! Tang Zong cursed. Great Sect Elder, 7th Sect Elder, and the various law enforcement sect elders, we are unable to perform any divination right now. This bastard brat's vigilance is too high. As long as we perform a divination, before we can see anything clearly, his fist will come smashing out. Elder Zhai Xing said with a bitter smile. Lin Piaomiao was the one who understood Night Sorrow's situation the most in the heaven-desolate city. But no matter who asked, Lin Piaomiao would say she didn't know. Everyone was helpless. They all knew that Bai Chu Yuan, Xiao Jun, and Li Zong Yuan were unfair to Night Sorrow. This made Lin Piaomiao angry. Lu Qi didn't ask Lin Piaomiao. He didn't like to make others unhappy. If others asked him to ask, he wouldn't say anything. He didn't want to force people. If Lin Piaomiao didn't say anything, he wouldn't ask. Lin Piaomiao's main body stayed in 9 Region City as she watched Yi Shang research artifact refinement. Yi Shang had already successfully refined an Imperial Lord-level weapon. His artifact refinement technique had reached a certain level, but it couldn't be improved because his cultivation couldn't support it. In the heaven-desolate mountain, Night Sorrow's original body comprehended the realm. His clone took out all his high-level materials to evolve the Space Splitter Spear. The evolved Space Splitter Spear had the Blood Qilin's tailbone as the spear tip. The golden-red spear tip was very domineering. There were sharp saw teeth on both sides of the tip. The body of the spear was silver and there were purple dragon patterns on it. It wasn't for the sake of looking good. It was made of time-purple sand to penetrate the spiral formation. Looking at the new spear in his hand, Night Sorrow knew that it couldn't be called the Space Splitter Spear anymore. Although it still had the feeling of being one with the spear, it wasn't the Space Splitter Spear anymore. Blood Qilin Spear. Night Sorrow felt that it was more appropriate to call it the Blood Qilin Spear. Holding the Blood Qilin Spear, he practiced his spear techniques. Night Sorrow was very excited because there was a feeling of being connected by flesh and blood. It was as if they were fated to be connected and relied on each other. After the last strike, the tip of the Blood Qilin Spear shone with a golden light. No! Night Sorrow realized that something was wrong. When he started practicing his spear techniques, there was no golden light at all. With a shake of his wrist, Night Sorrow practiced his spear techniques again, but the golden light was gone. He didn't find the key. Night Sorrow's body shook. After the last strike, he was about to pull back the spear to find the key. However, the golden light appeared again, which made Night Sorrow understand where the problem was. It was because of his body's strength. When he pulled back the spear, he stretched his muscles and bones. It was his body's strength that drove the Blood Qilin Spear. After finding the key, Night Sorrow started to use his body's strength to drive the Blood Qilin Spear. At this moment, the Blood Qilin Spear shone with a golden light. He understood. Night Sorrow understood. The Blood Kirin was an auspicious beast, a virtuous beast. Its power of merit was hidden in its flesh and bones. It used its body's energy to activate its spear skills. The Blood Kirin's tailbone was stimulated by the power of merit, and it emitted a golden light of merit. It was a lethal golden light of merit. Ha! Night Sorrow laughed. It wasn't appropriate to call the spear the Blood Qilin Spear. The virtuous power could destroy all evil power. It was more appropriate to call it the Blood Qilin Evil Slaying Spear. Satisfied. Night Sorrow was very satisfied. The blood Qilin evil-slaying spear was formed. It had a good foundation. Even if he cultivated to the emperor rank in the future, the blood Qilin evil-slaying spear could continue to evolve. In front of the 9 region city's heaven-sealing Great Hall, Knight Sorrow, who was studying the array diagram, laughed. What's going on? Lin Xian, who was drinking tea with Datura, looked at Knight Sorrow in surprise. Look at the W edition, chapter/section J. I refined an emperor rank spear. It was refined from the blood Qilin's tailbone that we obtained from the evil slaying land. Ah Luo, Sister Xian, do you know? It's really suitable for me. Knight Sorrow said happily. That's good. How are you now? Lin Xian asked. Not bad. I left the heaven desolate mountain and cultivated by the Nirvana seaside. Give me some time and I'll be back, Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow, you caused trouble in the heaven desolate mountain. They can't find you in the heaven desolate mountain and will expand the search area because they can be sure that you haven't returned, Lin Xian said. They won't think that I'm back, will they? Knight Sorrow looked at Lin Xian, in surprise. No, after you left the heaven desolate city, the city closed the star array and no longer used the power of the stars to interfere with the Nirvana tide. Therefore, the Nirvana tide is always wrapped around the sea bridge. Not to mention a 1-star emperor rank, even a 3-star emperor rank wouldn't be able to return. Unless you have a rank 4 domain, it's impossible that the demon-winged race doesn't know about this, Lin Xian said. They tricked me. They're waiting for me to come back, squatting on the sea bridge. How can I return? Knight Sorrow was a little angry. The heaven desolate city was not giving him a way out. So you have to be careful. The consequences of being careless can be very serious. If you're in danger, you have to inform me immediately. I'll set off from the heaven desolate city. It won't take long to find you, Lin Xian said. Chapter 1739. What's wrong? I'm in Tianhuang City, Lin Xian explained. It's so far away. By the time you arrive, they will have already chopped me into minced meat. I'd better be more careful. Knight Sorrow said. That's true. You have to be careful and hide yourself well. You need time. I'll give you time. When your cultivation is high enough, you won't have to be afraid of anyone or hide from anyone. Lin Xian nodded. After hearing Lin Xian's words, Knight Sorrow understood some things. The Demon Wings race was sure that he was still in Tianhuang City. They would definitely search for him vigorously and kill him. He had slapped the Demon Wings race's face. The Demon Wings race loved to kill and would not let him go. Knight Sorrow took out the Saint Spirit stones and set up an illusionary killing array and a teleportation array in his cultivation area. Then, he continued to build strongholds. Knight Sorrow did not have much, but he had a lot of Saint Spirit stones. He had set up 10 strongholds. The periphery of each stronghold was an illusionary killing array and the interior was a teleportation array. The distance between each stronghold was millions or even tens of millions of miles. The illusionary killing array would not be discovered if it was not touched. Even if it was discovered, it would be difficult to break it. Even if it was broken, it would be impossible to trick Knight Sorrow. Once the illusionary killing array was broken, it would explode and the teleportation array would lose its effect. It was impossible to wait. In addition, Knight Sorrow's strongholds were not in the shape of a snake. They were arranged according to the array diagram. Every teleportation array was connected to 2 other strongholds. This way, he could prevent others from accidentally destroying a stronghold. When he wanted to escape, the path was cut off. He had to ensure that his escape route was clear. *5 genuine before first U first 0G. After returning to the first stronghold, Knight Sorrow took a look at the teleportation crystal on the teleportation array disk. After that, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate. Half a year after Night Sorrow set up his strongholds, he began his first escape. 2 imperial emperors appeared in his cultivation area. He had no choice but to run. A year later, 3 strongholds were wiped out. The third one was the most dangerous because Night Sorrow's will of destruction had advanced to the Emperor realm. While he was enduring the tribulation of wind and fire, an imperial emperor came. It was only when Night Sorrow realized that the other party was getting closer did he realize it. Fortunately, he had activated the teleportation formation disk in time, so he was not attacked. Night Sorrow's doppelganger had something to do now that the will of destruction had entered the Emperor realm. The doppelganger began to research the fusion of domains while the main body deepened the mastery of the various domains. However, the devil-winged clan's pursuit of him had also intensified. Strongholds were eradicated one by one because the Devil Wings race knew that Night Sorrow was cultivating at the edge of the Nirvana Ocean. This made Night Sorrow very angry. Night Sorrow entered the Nirvana Ocean and placed the Clear Sky Pagoda at the bottom of the Nirvana Ocean. He sat at the top and started cultivating. Under such circumstances, he consumed Saint Spirit Stones. He could withstand it because he still had more than 2 million Saint Spirit Stones in his storage ring. No matter how much he burned, it would not be a problem. Mo-Ho was very angry because he could not catch Night Sorrow. He was anxious because his weapon had been taken away by Night Sorrow. It was made of golden cracking stone and was incomparably tough. It was also said to be indestructible. Moreover, it was his life weapon. If he could not find Night Sorrow, he would not be able to get it back. The energy in the Nirvana Ocean was even more violent. Night Sorrow stayed at the bottom of the ocean, which was more stable than the surface. However, he could still comprehend the will of heaven and earth. His main body increased his cultivation level while his doppelganger deduced the fusion of domains in the Clear Sky Pagoda. After discovering that Night Sorrow was at the edge of the Nirvana Ocean, Mo-Ho sent out experts and ordinary Devil Wings race soldiers to eradicate all of Night Sorrow's strongholds. The Nirvana Ocean coast was very long, but it couldn't withstand many people. Mo-Ho was sure that Night Sorrow was near the coast. The Heaven Desolate Mountain was cleaned and sealed by the Devil Wings race. It was hard for Night Sorrow to survive. Therefore, Night Sorrow could only survive near the Nirvana Ocean. However, there was no sign of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was cultivating at the bottom of the Nirvana Ocean. The Devil Wings race's search was destined to be fruitless because Night Sorrow had disappeared into thin air. The peaceful days passed by quickly. In the blink of an eye, Night Sorrow had been in the Heaven Desolate region for 7 years. In other words, he had been exiled for 7 years. He had also cultivated at the bottom of the Nirvana Ocean for more than 2 years. Cultivating at the bottom of the Nirvana Ocean, Night Sorrow's spacetime attribute increased at a slower rate. However, his void and destruction attributes were increasing rapidly. Why were the Nirvana Ocean waves and Nirvana Immortal Wind so powerful? Because the void and destruction attributes led the other attributes to form an energy storm. Therefore, Night Sorrow's 2 attributes were increasing rapidly. However, the fusion of the void and destruction domains was too difficult. In the 2 years in the real world, Night Sorrow's 2 clones had been constantly deducing. However, Night Sorrow had spent 100 years. However, in 100 years, Night Sorrow still couldn't complete the fusion of domains. This made Night Sorrow understand why high-grade domains were so hard to obtain. Not to mention 1-star and 2-star emperors, even 3-star emperors and monarchs had domains of only 1 attribute. Why could a powerful emperor fight against a monarch? It was because some talented emperors had already fused their domains. After cultivating to 2-star emperor, Night Sorrow was confident that he could fight against a monarch. However, there was still room for improvement. Therefore, he didn't make a move. Additionally, he didn't want to take the risk. The things on him were too important. Whether it was the human emperor's seal or Mo Tianji's corpse, he couldn't lose them. The human emperor's seal was a human Tao divine artifact. He couldn't lose it. Mo Tianji's corpse was too important. Without a body, it would take a long time for Mo Tianji to make a comeback. It was difficult to reincarnate or rebuild a body. It was hard to say if she could recover to her peak. However, if her body was snatched back, Mo Tianji would have a foundation to rise again. Night Sorrow couldn't give her this foundation. Mo Tianji's body was very strong. Night Sorrow couldn't destroy it because her body had Tao runes. That was the power brought about by one's cultivation realm. Without being discovered, Night Sorrow continued to increase his cultivation realm. His clones continued to fuse domains and headed toward level 4 domains. Night Sorrow also knew why the fusion of domains wasn't progressing well. It was why the fusion of domains was only at the edges. There was no progress in the fusion of domains at the core. It was because the void and destruction supreme attributes repelled each other. In the past, the void attribute ruled over the space-time attribute. Now that the destruction attribute had fused, a problem appeared. There was a conflict between the two attributes. The destruction attribute repelled the void attribute, but the void attribute didn't allow the destruction attribute to take over. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow's two clones hadn't succeeded in fusing domains even after 100 years. Chapter 1740. It was too difficult to command two supreme attributes, because they were supreme attributes. What kind of attribute could be used to command them? Night Sorrow was a little annoyed. His doppelganger in the clear sky pagoda took out the blood cheel and evil-slaying spear and displayed his spear arts to vent his emotions. He had to vent his emotions. Only by doing this could he achieve something. After practicing a set of spear arts, Night Sorrow's body trembled and he put away his spear. E0 most see new chapter 10_x upper FQ. Following Night Sorrow's last spear strike, the clear sky pagoda was filled with golden light. This was the manifestation of the power of virtue. Paw! Night Sorrow slapped his own mouth. At this moment, he understood. The reason why the fusion had failed and the progress was slow in the past was because Night Sorrow had always been focused on the fusion of nothingness and destruction. He had never thought about anything else. Now, he understood. What was the greatest energy in the world? Virtue was the greatest. The power of virtue was the power recognized by the heavenly Tao. It was the power of humanity and the heavenly Tao. He could use the power of virtue to be the commander of all attributes. He could use the power of virtue to command nothingness, destruction, time, and space. If possible, he could fuse them like this in the future. With this new idea, Night Sorrow put it into practical research. Sometimes, he was confused because he did not have a direction. Once he determined the direction and started running, he would get closer and closer to the destination. 6 months had passed in the real world. Night Sorrow's doppelganger had accelerated the deduction for more than 20 years. Finally, the fusion of domains was successful, forming a domain with the power of virtue as the core. Night Sorrow did not know what to call this domain because there had never been such a domain in history. Night Sorrow stopped cultivating and left the top of the clear sky pagoda. He entered the pagoda and took out a jar of wine to celebrate. Although he was still some distance away from becoming a 3-star emperor, his rank 4 domain had already taken shape. It could even be said that it had matured. It could even be said that it was no longer a simple rank 4 domain. If the power of virtue was an attribute, then it would be a rank 5 domain. He could return. A level 4 domain could withstand the tide of nirvana because he had felt it when he was at the clear sky pagoda. The nirvana waves and the nirvana immortal wind were repelled by the domain. His domain was like a small spatial world. The nirvana immortal wind and the nirvana waves had already invaded his domain. They were no threat to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow drank a jar of wine and calmed himself down. He was too excited. It had been 8 years since he left the celestial realm. He really wanted to go back. It had been 8 years since he last saw the Night Moon Villa and the Star Moon Lake. Although he had an avatar in the 9-domain world, it was an avatar that could not move. Furthermore, it was very different from his original body. Go back. Night Sorrow decided to wait. There were still 1,000,000 Saint Spirit stones left in his storage ring. Night Sorrow planned to use the 1,000,000 Saint Spirit stones to cultivate for a while before returning. Night Sorrow had already comprehended 26% of the spacetime attributes momentum of heaven and earth, 18% of the void attributes momentum of heaven and earth, and 15% of the destruction attributes momentum of heaven and earth. It would be very difficult for him to make a breakthrough in the near future. Night Sorrow planned to break through the spacetime and void attributes to see if there was a possibility of leveling up. If he leveled up, his battle prowess would increase. Night Sorrow was very clear about his own situation. Once he left the Nirvana Ocean, danger would descend. He needed to kill his way back because the devil-winged race would definitely intercept him and do their best to kill him. Without strength, the possibility of returning was very low. The Clear Sky Pagoda needed a large amount of Saint Spirit stones to withstand the Nirvana waves at the bottom of the ocean. 1,000,000 Saint Spirit stones could only support him for half a year. Time passed in Yishang's intense cultivation. He was preparing for his return and making a breakthrough for his return. When he still had 100,000 Saint Spirit stones, Night Sorrow finally made some progress. His void attribute had entered the 2-star Emperor realm. His spacetime attribute's progress wasn't very fast. It only improved by 1%. This was the importance of compatibility. Night Sorrow was born with the void attribute and was the most compatible with him. Therefore, his cultivation was the smoothest. The reason why his spacetime attribute's cultivation was fast was also because his innate bloodline was of the spatial attribute. There was compatibility, but the destruction attribute was slightly weaker. There wasn't any possibility of leveling up in a short period of time. Night Sorrow didn't plan to continue staying in the Nirvana Ocean. He wanted to return. Night Sorrow was happy and excited. After hibernating for a few years, he was going to return to the days of passion. He loved fighting, even if it was dangerous. He loved that thrilling feeling. It was time for him to return. Night Sorrow prepared for battle. This time, he was going to fight with all his strength. No matter who was blocking his way home, he was going to kill them all. Night Sorrow told the 9 Regions Origin Pearl that if he couldn't withstand it, he would choose to self-destruct. The 9 Regions Origin Pearl was going to leave with the Clear Sky Pagoda. He definitely couldn't lose the Clear Sky Pagoda. The Clear Sky Pagoda was a Heavenly Tao divine artifact. The Heavenly Tao Pagoda also had the Human Emperor Seal, which was a Human Tao divine artifact. In addition, the Clear Sky Pagoda was suppressing Mo Tianji's body. These were things that couldn't be lost. After preparing for battle, Night Sorrow's original body and clone merged into one. His body returned from the Nirvana Ocean to the shore. After the fusion of the domains, Night Sorrow's rank 4 domain wouldn't collapse even if he didn't use his light of virtue. It was already set. After leaving the shore for some distance, Night Sorrow released his soul force to the maximum and searched for a route. Night Sorrow flew towards the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. As he flew, he scouted the situation. He couldn't teleport now because his stronghold had been destroyed by Devil Throat's men. The king, the heavenly monarch, and the monarch couldn't discover Night Sorrow at all. Night Sorrow was flying at a high altitude. He was close to the sky and close to the tumbling destruction divine wind region. He was getting closer and closer to the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. The Nirvana Ocean Bridge was the land surface of the Nirvana Ocean. It was the only way to get close to the sky desolate city. One couldn't fly over the Nirvana Ocean. The area where the Nirvana ocean and the sky connected was the Nirvana storm formed by the Nirvana ocean's waves and Nirvana divine wind. Even emperors couldn't withstand it. Otherwise, the Nirvana ocean wouldn't be a natural barrier. Only the Nirvana ocean bridge, which connected the land and the sky, would reduce the power of the Nirvana tide. Only those above the Emperor realm could withstand it. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow could only fly at a high altitude after leaving the shore. If one was too close to the Nirvana ocean, flying in the air would be bad luck. Night Sorrow was more than 20 million miles away from the Nirvana ocean bridge. Night Sorrow's speed was fast, and he was flying at a high altitude where no one could notice him. He dodged batch after batch of patrolling devil-winged race members. He was getting closer and closer to the Nirvana ocean bridge. When he was 100,000 miles away from the Nirvana ocean bridge, Night Sorrow was discovered because he met the Devil Wings race's emperors. When Night Sorrow discovered them, the other party also discovered him. 2 Devil Wings race's emperors charged towards Night Sorrow. They were guarding the Nirvana ocean bridge.